Chapter 697, The domineering Tang Chen's Mo was used to scenes like this. He did not speak and only gave a small smile. A short time later, the noisy crowd quickly quieted. The Mo weapon masters looked in reverence and respect at Mo. At this time, silence was more effective than speech. But he still felt a small headache. He would only stay in Buzhou City for a short while, and forging the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Peak was just to trade for the White Ridge Snake bones for Tsing. He hadn't thought that forging an Earth Mo weapon would create such a ruckus. The reason that he had changed his appearance was because he did not want to draw attention to himself, and he could reach Nether Springs Jia as fast as possible. It would not be easy to leave after making such a spectacle. These Mo weapon masters that were looking him with fear and reverence were just a small problem. It would not be so easy to get rid of the prestigious families of Buzhou City. Mo had experienced the conduct of the prestigious families before. If he revealed his identity, the other would not dare to do anything, but that way, his tracks would be exposed. What would occur would be endless trouble. It was not a secret that he had Shen power. If people had doubted that Shen power existed before, the Mo gods that had killed the Xian Kong Temple core had displayed the great force of Shen power. Being in possession of a great treasure was a crime. Mo knew this. The trio was not weak. If they secretly moved, they would not encounter any great trouble. The only strong enemies they would likely encounter would be lone experts. If their tracks were exposed, there would be prestigious clans that would use all of the power at this disposal to try to get the Shen power inheritance from him. It definitely would not be a good idea to reveal his identity. Calming down, Mo's mind started to turn furiously. He pushed his voice low to say to Tsing. How many people know of the use of the White Ridge Snake bones? Tsing stilled, but she was smart and immediately understood what Mo meant. She replied in an imperceptible voice, few. Even in the clan only my father and I know. Mo was slightly relieved. Their only possible flaw was the White Ridge Snake bones. If other people knew the use of the White Ridge Snake bones for the White Fang Snake Mo, it would be easy to suspect their identities. It was not a secret that he had a female companion that was a White Fang Snake Mo. He could only deal with the events as they came. Mo decided as he smiled as usual. Suddenly, the crowd behind shifted. Congratulations. Congratulations. I had not thought that honored sir would actually forge an Earth-level Mo weapon. The middle-aged Mo had a joyous expression, and there was a group of guards behind him. Mo hadn't expected the chief steward of the Rare Artifacts Hall to come directly to the Mo weapon pool. He was slightly surprised, but his expression did not change. He said coolly, all due to sir's good luck, everything proceeded smoothly. This Earth Mo weapon is called the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike. It can turn into 10 different Mo weapons, each with their own abilities. Finishing, he took out the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike and performed some of the transformations. The Mo weapon masters in the surroundings had never seen a true Earth-level Mo weapon before. They stretched out their necks, their eyes wide in fear they would miss a single detail. When they saw the 10 transformations of the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike, they gave gasps of shock. The middle-aged Mo's gaze was burning hot as he started at the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Spear in Mo's hand. He wanted to take it immediately. As the main steward of Rare Artifacts Hall, he had better judgment than normal people. He had also touched a true Earth Mo weapon before. With just a glance, he realized that this Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike was better than the Earth Mo weapon he had touched in the past. His gaze became even hotter. However, he was a smart person. He said with a smile, I have brought the White Ridge Snake bones. According to Little Mo Guess personality, he would not be himself if he did not take the chance to profit enormously. However, this time, he was in a hurry to leave, so he did not haggle. He nodded. It is yours. The joy on the middle-aged Mo's face increased. The complete set of white ridge snake bones appeared in front of Zhua Mo. Sighs of shock rose in the surroundings again. It was extremely rare to see such a perfect set of white ridge snake bones. Please wait. A voice suddenly interrupted. It was Hua Ruhai. The urgency on his face had disappeared and was replaced by calmness. This one is Hua Ruhai of North Bay's Hua family. I wish to purchase this Earth Mo weapon. Before he finished speaking, Zhua Mo grabbed the white ridge snake bones and shoved the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike into the hand of the middle-aged Mo. Hua Ruhai's expression froze on his face. Was something wrong with this person's herd? Did he not understand this was chance to raise the price? Hua Ruhai's blood rushed to his head and he glared angrily at Zhua Mo. Zhua Mo ignored him. With the white ridge snake bones in his hand, he gave a look to Tsing Lianer. He grabbed Agui's hand and quickly proceeded to leave. The middle-aged Mo was still immersed in the joy of obtaining the Earth-level Mo weapon and did not notice the actions of the trio. Valued guests, you leave in such a hurry. My Tang family has not treated you properly, and slighted such valued guests. This is our crime. This one is Tang Chen and ask for forgiveness from you. A deep and pleasant voice echoed in everyone's ears. The noisy scene suddenly became silent. Everyone had speculated that the Tang family would not stop and watch with a Mo weapon Grandmaster represent, but when Tang Chen asked for forgiveness, it caused everyone to be speechless. Then sound spread in a wave. Tang Chen was the present patriarch of the Tang family. He rarely was seen in public. They hadn't thought that he would personally come. This really was giving a great honor to this Grandmaster. Zhua Mo's expression was the same, but he grimaced. Now it would not be easy to leave. The other was polite in speech, but his position perfectly blocked off their path. Zhua Mo stopped walking and then casually bowed. He said, I do not dare to accept this. We have matters to attend to and are in a hurry to travel. Mr. Tang, please forgive us. Tang Chen smiled when he heard this. He drawled, Grandmaster is too polite. Please tell us what the matter is. The Tang family will be honored to serve Grandmaster. It is the good fortune of Buzhou City that Grandmaster has come here. Please, Grandmaster, stay for a few days, and let us act as good hosts. As expected, a difficult person. Zhua Mo cursed this Tang Chen a few hundred times. He wanted to take out little Mo treasure cup and let it go. It seemed from Tang Chen's posture that Zhua Mo definitely would not be able to leave today. The other most likely would force them to stay. Zhua Mo's mind moved rapidly and decided to pretend to agree. Later, he would find a chance to sneak away. Having decided this, he pretended to be reluctant and replied, Then we will disturb Patriarch Tang for a few days. Tang Chen gave a satisfied smile. Grandmaster, please. Tang Chen's gaze swept across the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike in the hand of the rare artifact hall chief steward. He praised, a good Earth Mo weapon. The middle-aged Mo did not avoid Tang Chen's gaze. He smiled calmly and said, the Mo weapon is good, the Grandmaster is even better. Tang Chen naturally understood the other's double meaning but pretended not to hear it. He smiled slightly and said, the Tang family coincidentally needs an Earth Mo weapon, please, state a price. His tone was cool but an aura of dominance formed. The middle-aged Mo was not frightened and said slyly, this one does not dare to overstep this one's authority. If Darren wants to ask about the price, this one will report to the owner. You're pretty good. Tang Chen turned and left after saying this. Zhua Mo showed a thoughtful expression. It seemed that the support behind this rare artifacts hall wasn't weak. The trio were set up in one compound. This was a very large compound in a great environment. It had all the equipment needed and there were more than hundreds of servants. There was only the trio living in this enormous compound. The compound was heavily guarded on the outside. There were more than 20 of the Tang family elite general level and above acting as guards and sentries. There are also many MO matrices set up in the surroundings. It was impossible to set up seal formations like transportation formations. This caused Sui Mo to grimace. The other was clearly more experienced. After inviting them to the Tang family, they were put under house arrest. The present situation was no different than house arrest, even though the other did not restrict their movement. Sui Mo had also learned the domineering style of this Tang family patriarch. It was impossible to sneak away without being detected while under such heavy guard. If they tried to force their way, then all of their secrets would be exposed and the Tang family would pay any price to keep them here. There was great apology and guilt on Seng Lianer's face. If it wasn't for the white ridge snake bones. Sui Mo shook his head and interrupted her. This isn't your fault. Who would think that the Earth-level MO weapon would cause such a great disturbance? Sui Mo looked at Agui and felt urgency. If they were trapped here, when would they be able to reach Nether Springs Jia? At this time, his mind suddenly moved. He thought of a great idea. He is going to forge Earth MO weapons? Tang Chen asked gravely. Yes. He said that he wants to forge a new Earth MO weapon. The subordinate's tone was filled with joyful surprise. Earth MO weapon. Tang Chen's expression changed, but then he frowned. He naturally knew of the difficulty in forging an Earth MO weapon. This Grandmaster had just finished forging an Earth MO weapon and now wanted to forge a second one. He felt incredulous at this. Any Earth MO weapon could be said to be the masterpiece of a MO weapon master's life. The great majority of MO weapon grandmasters only ever forged one Earth MO weapon, and those that had forged two could be counted on the fingers. He had never heard of one that had forged three. Tang Chen had not captured Sui Mo forcibly because of the Earth MO weapon, but was in hope that he would be willing to help take the role of the teacher for the MO weapon camp. Buzhou City was rich in resources, but the skill level of the MO weapon masters was not high. If the level of these MO weapon masters could be increased, the resources could be turned into an endless flow of fine MO weapons. The Tang family's power would increase another level in a short period of time. Had he gotten new ideas from forging the Earth MO weapon last time? While he did not believe that Sui Mo could forge a second Earth MO weapon, Tang Cheng was naturally happy for Sui Mo to throw himself into the forging of MO weapons. And cooperate fully with him, Tang Chen said without hesitation. Satisfy his needs to the best of our abilities. Yes. The subordinate acknowledges. However, his expression turned strange. But Grandmaster had a strange request. Strange request. Tang Chen stilled. Chapter 698, The Unexpected Guest. Buzhou City, Tang Wen Hall. This was Buzhou City's grandest banquet in the past few years. It was popular and filled with people. There were many beauties, the fragrance of wine spread around the air, and those that were conversing would exchange greetings with smiles. Anyone of slight fame in and around Buzhou City had received an invitation from the Tang family. There were famed experts from surrounding towns that had rushed over. Other than the Tang family's unrivaled power in this area, many people had come for another person, Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai, 1. It was not strange for a Grandmaster that had just forged an Earth-level MO weapon to be pursued to this degree. Then they heard that it had been Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai's request to hold this banquet. Many people had thoughts about the situation. While the Tang family had forcefully stolen Grandmaster away, many people still desired to meet him and form friendly relationships, especially the experts that were strong and lacked MO weapons. They were like flies that smelt meat and all ran over. Feng Xinz had a sunny smile on his face. He had refused the advances of countless beautiful young female MO. He was holding a cup of wine as he sat beside Ji Liu. You were wrong. Ji Liu's tone was slightly mocking. He's the new MO weapon grandmaster. Feng Xinz shrugged his shoulders. Maybe Xiao Mo Gu also knows to forge MO weapons. While he teased this, inside, he did not believe his own words. Xiao Mo Gu was a genius. Even Feng Xinz, who was called a genius by others, had to admit the other's astounding talent. But even the most talented person could not be good in all areas. Mo weapon creation was a profound and cryptic field. In order to have accomplishments in this area, one needed to accumulate skill and experience. The former was related to talent, and the latter to time. Also, don't you feel it is strange? A Mo weapon master that can make an Earth Mo weapon should have at least some fame and reputation before this, but no one has heard of his name before. Feng Xinz looked at Zhua Mo in the distance and said to himself. There are many people who leap into fame from obscurity. There is nothing strange about that. Ji Li's tone was dismissive. Maybe. Feng Xinz did not continue on the topic. One person forced their way over and said enthusiastically, "Ha, I am so fortunate to encounter such a beautiful miss today. Miss who is so beautiful that my heart has almost stopped beating. Can you tell me your name?" Ji Liu felt slight disdain, but she did not snow it in her expression. She smiled brightly. Shouldn't you introduce yourself first before asking for someone's name? Ji Liu was devastatingly beautiful to start with. When she did not smile, she was the brightest jewel at the banquet. When she smiled, the entire banquet hall seemed to light up. The nearby guests were dumbstruck. The young person who stepped forward to speak with her was also stunned. After a while, he recovered. His expression was intoxicated. He appeared as though he would be willing to die if Ji Liu told him to do so. Oh. I should die for this. I was so impolite. Heavens, this is unforgivable. Please forgive my rudeness. I am Hua Ru Hai from the South Bay's Hua family. It is a little place, a little place. Hua Ru Hai smiled fawningly. Shocked inhales sounded in the surroundings. South Bay Hua family was a faction that rivaled the Tang family. I am very happy to meet you, Mr. Hua Ru Hai. I am Ji Liu of the Yao. Ji Li's smile blossomed and drew the eyes of the males present. Happy, truly happy. Hua Ru Hai was so excited he could not speak rationally. Has Mr. Hua Ru Hai also come for Grandmaster? Ji Liu asked curiously. Hua Ru Hai nodded repeatedly. Yes, I was coincidentally around the Mo weapon pool when Grandmaster completed forging the Mo weapon. I saw with my own eyes the worldly apparition when the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike was created. Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike. Yes, it is an outstanding Earth Mo weapon, and can change into 10 different Mo weapons. It is the first time I have seen such a wondrous Earth Mo weapon. It is a pity it ended up in the hands of Rare Artifacts Hall. It will not be easy to buy it from them. Hua Ru Hai shook his head and said with regret. Ji Liu suddenly said, Grandmaster is really young. Are all Mo weapon masters so young? Hua Ru Hai smiled and said, Actually, I was stunned when I met the Grandmaster for the first time. I hadn't expected him to be about the same age as me. However, people at the Grandmaster level are probably not the same as us mere mortals. That is true. Ji Liu smiled faintly. Her gaze turned to the Mo weapon placed at the center of the large hall. That is the Sky Snake 10 manifestations pike. N. Hua Ru Hai looked with intoxication at the Sky Snake 10 manifestations pike and murmured, Perfect. It is absolutely perfect. I haven't never heard of this level of craftsmanship. It is great. Ji Liu stared at the Sky Snake 10 manifestations pike. An intimidating yet almost imperceptible presence emanated from the pike and shrouded the entire hall. It would occasionally cause sighs of awe. It really is a perfect masterpiece, the chief steward of Rare Artifacts Hall praised. Many thanks to you for your support. Suemo offered his thanks to the other. He had sold the Sky Snake 10 manifestations pike to the Rare Artifacts Hall already. They had only brought it out for display because it was Sua Mo's request. It is nothing, the middle-aged Mo smiled and said. Then he said subtly, no matter the occasion, Rare Artifacts Hall is a friend of Grandmaster. He had felt great shock when he had received Sua Mo's request, but he quickly made his decision. While he did not know what the Grandmaster's intentions were, it was undoubtedly the best choice to build a good relationship with the other. Sua Mo raised the wine cup in his hand and toasted the other. Please. Please. The middle-aged Mo responded with a raise of his glass in satisfaction. It was not common to have a Grandmaster owe you a favor. There was an imperceptible smile on Tang Chen's face. Suddenly, a servant said a few words in a low voice by his ear and he nodded. He suddenly stood and raised both of his hands. He said in a loud voice, everyone. The hall immediately quieted down. All gazes turned to focus on Tang Chen. Tang Chen had absolute authority in Buzhou City. Just a few of his words could have great effects on Buzhou City. Tang Chen had a big smile. Today is really a good day, with friends filling the seats, and honored guests that have come. Just as he was speaking, a procession walked in from the door to the hall. The one leading the way was a youth with a faint smile on his face. His handsome face was filled with confidence as he walked with his head high at the front. The crowd unconsciously made way for him. Uncle Tang. The youth bowed towards Tang Chen. Tang Chen laughed and said, come here, let uncle have a look at you. Heroes really come from youth. I really admire Adi for having such a son. Adi. Low discussion rose in the crowd. Everyone was speculating who this Adi was. Father frequently mentions you, but there has been many matters. He feels very guilty for being unable to visit Uncle Tang these years, Gongzi she said respectfully. 2-0. A reminiscing expression came onto Tang Chen's face. He said emotionally, the years have passed so quickly. He then laughed. It is not good to be too emotional on such a good day. Finishing, he turned to face the hall with a hand on the youth. He said in a loud voice, everyone, let me introduce you. This is Marshal Di's son, and my nephew, Shi. The crowd exploded. Everyone knew who Marshal Di was. Oh, of course this meant every other than Sua Mo. Marshal Di was much more famous than Tang Chen and was one of the most famous marshals in the Mo territories. Many people had uncertain expressions. While Tang Chen's authority in Buzhou City was unrivaled, the Tang family was usually low-key and seemed content to be in their area without any ambitions to vie for the world. Due to this, many people thought of the Tang family as just a strong local faction. However, Marshal Di was one of the competitors fighting for domination of the world and one of the strongest marshals. Because of the difference in status of the families, many people were surprised the son of Marshal Di was so respectful towards Tang Chen. To even bow like a junior suggested that the two marshals had a close relationship. Zai's arrival caused the entire banquet to have a turbulent underflow. Many people thought inside that they needed to reassess the strength of the Tang family. This included the Ji family. In the corner, Aheng's eyes flashed and he was uncertain. The Tang family had been a faction that the Ji family had been trying form relations with for a long time. The Ji family had even hoped that they could use a marriage to ally the two families together. He immediately detected something unusual nearby when Marshal Di's son Shi had arrived. The young master of the Ji family looked with hate and viciousness at Sua Mo. Refocusing, Aheng noticed the expression of his young master and frowned inwardly. The newly arrived Gongzi Shi appeared handsome and accomplished, his family's young master in comparison was not acceptable to be seen in public. Aheng shook his head inside. That Xiao Yunhai was an honored guest of the Tang family now. They did not have any more chances to act. Not speaking of how they wanted to form an alliance with the Tang family, even if they did not care about how the Tang family felt, they could not act against a valued guest of the Tang family while in Buzhou City. He reminded, young master, you cannot be rash. So this will be the end of it, the young master gritted his teeth and his voice seemed to bellow out from his chest. Aheng said coolly. Master will not be happy if you offend the Tang family. The Ji family young master's face paled. When he thought of his father's anger, a chill rose from the bottom of his feet. All of his anger immediately disappeared. After Aheng reminded him of this, he didn't look at his young master again but focused on Gongzi Shi. He decided to stay a while longer and find out why Gongzi Shi had suddenly come to Buzhou City. The Tang family was low-key but their strength could not be underestimated. They would be of great aid to any family they allied with. Aheng knew that the horizontal Jia's Ji family did not have as much influence compared to Marshal D. However, he hadn't expected that Tang Chen had concealed this relationship so deeply. They had investigated for so long and hadn't even heard a hint of it. The Ji family had started to try to ally with the Tang family from a very long time ago. Tang Chen's attitude had always been ambiguous. So this was the reason behind it. No matter what, he could not let the Tang family and Marshal D form an alliance. A cold light flashed across Aheng's eyes. With the arrival of the new guests, no one noticed the two people from the Ji family in the corner. Tang Chen's gaze flashed across Gongzi Zai's retinue. When his gaze landed on Li Xiener, he was slightly surprised. However, he did not change expression and brought Gongzi Shi in front of Zhuo, virtuous nephew. Come, this is Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai. Grandmaster has just forged an Earth Mo weapon, the Sky Snake 10 Manifestations Pike. It is extraordinarily powerful. At this time, the corner of Zhuo Mo's eye imperceptibly twitched. 1. This is another pun based on similar sounds and different characters. Yunhai as in Cloud Sea, and Xiao being the surname. 2. The naming convention here seems to follow that of ancient China. Gongzi means the son of a lord, which later turned to mean gentleman. So Shi is the name, and Gongzi is like a honorific. Chapter 699, Zhuo Mo's goal. His gaze unconsciously moved, and swept across Gongzi Zai's group. His gaze suddenly stopped on a female. For some unknown reason, Zhuo Mo had an eerie sense of familiarity. This female. Zhuo Mo dared to guarantee that he had definitely never seen this female before. He wasn't able to identify anything familiar about her. This included her appearance, her speech and presence. They were all very unfamiliar and Zhuo Mo was sure that he had never seen her before. But that eerie sense of familiarity haunted his mind and could not be swept away. It really was strange. Zhuo Mo suppressed the strange feeling he had. His expression was normal as he gave a small smile and exchanged greetings with Gongzi Shi. I'm very happy to meet you. Gongzi Shi also had a smile. On the way here, I heard that Grandmaster had forged an Earth Mo weapon. She itches to see it, and has traveled day and night. This journey was not a waste after meeting Grandmaster. Tang Chen pretended to be angry. So virtuous nephew has not come to see this old man thought too highly of himself. The people around laughed when they heard this. Tang Chen also had a small smile as he said, you and Grandmaster are of similar age, and must be able to converse better. Virtuous nephew, you should ask for guidance from Grandmaster, you will definitely benefit. Uncle is right, Gongzi Shi said respectfully. Zhuo Mo smiled. Patriarch Tang is too complimentary. He felt strange. This Tang Chen seemed to treat Gongzi Shi like his own nephew. The relationship between the two families was not simple. Gongzi Zai's gaze turned to the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike in the middle of the large hall. He couldn't resist saying, this is Grandmaster's new work. This is called the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike, the middle-aged Mo elegantly took over. Does Master Shi want to try? I can. She showed joy. Of course. The middle-aged Mo made an ushering motion. Our hall received the favor of Grandmaster and this Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike. Master can do as you please. Even a blind person could see that the middle-aged Mo was showing goodwill to Gongzi Shi. Gongzi's eyes' expression was excited and he was desiring to try. Li Xianer secretly examined Zhuai Mo. She was unusually sensitive. Zhuai Mo had done his best to make his gaze appear casual, but Li Xianer still detected Zhuai Mo's attention focused on her. Her appearance had been disguised. While she still looked pretty, it was several levels below her true appearance. Which of the servants around Gongzi Shi were not beautiful due to his position? Theoretically, she should be very nondescript and mediocre among the group. She hadn't thought that Tang Chen and Xiao Yunhai would notice her. However, she was very curious about Xiao Yunhai. It was not common to see such a young Mo weapon grandmaster. Being from Tianhuan, Li Xianer had seen many kinds of geniuses, but there were only just a rare few that were so accomplished at such an age. As though he noticed her gaze, the young grandmaster gave a small smile at her. This guy was slightly strange. Li Xianer thought inside. Qinghua Shui looked closely at Zhuai Mo within the crowd. Her eyes were as bright as stars and she was struggling to keep her calm. It was him. Yes, it was him. Qinghua Shui could not suppress the excitement inside. Almost at first glance, she had recognized Zhuai Mo. While the appearance and the name were unfamiliar, Qinghua Shui's eyes had not missed his familiar patterns of speech and movement. She was too familiar with Xiao Mo Gu. She hadn't just fought against him, she had collected almost all the mirages on the market concerning him. This was him. Xiao Mo Gu. The gathering that would have normally found unpleasant and noisy was so beautiful right now. Qinghua Shui's eyes did not move away one bit. What are you looking at? One of her fellows poked her. Her friend was called Ning Shiner. She was the most beautiful female of the cadet branch of the Ning family, and due to this, she had been selected. Qinghua Shui seemed to wake up. Her face was aflame. Oh, you like Xiao Yunhai? Ning Shiner teased her. While he doesn't look handsome, his future is unlimited as he was able to become a grandmaster at such a young age. If you can get him, the Qinghua family probably would be overjoyed. Qinghua Shui quickly recovered her calm. She slanted a look at Ning Shiner and said pointedly, weren't you pining after Xiao Mo Gu? Xiao Mo Gu. Ning Shiner said self-mockingly. I want him. However, with the Yao's greatest beauty standing at the front, we can just rest our hearts and act as secondary characters. The words were tinged with jealousy and some disappointment. Qinghua Shui was silent. She could understand Ning Xiner's feelings. Of the group of people that had come, there was no one other than her that had been willing. In front of Ji Liu, all of them lost in comparison. Everyone felt that if Xiao Mo Gu was going to fall in love, it would be with Ji Liu. They were from the cadet branches of their families, but they had many suitors, including sons of main branches. Who was willing to travel thousands of miles to act as accompaniment? I feel that Xiao Mo Gu might not fall in love with Miss Ji, Qinghua Shui suddenly said. Maybe. Ning Shiner twisted her mouth. If he doesn't fall in love with the most beautiful woman, then there is no hope for us. Qinghua Shui was silent. Ning Shiner tilted her head and suddenly became excited. This Xiao Yunhai is a good target. I feel that the higher-ups will definitely agree to recruit a Mo weapon master of such potential on our side. Nice, nice. They you can go try. Qinghua Shui said sardonically. No, he isn't handsome enough. Ning Shiner pouted. But that Gongzi Shi is both generous and has presence. His family background is also very good. Qinghua Shui smiled upon hearing this. At this time, Xiao Yunhai suddenly spoke up, everyone. The entire place quieted. People looked over curiously. Everyone present was filled with curiosity about this newly titled Mo weapon grandmaster, especially since he was so young. Xiao Yunhai had a small smile on his face without any timidity. His voice was clear and loud. First, I would like to thank Patriarch Tang for agreeing to my unreasonable request and hosting such a grand banquet for me. I also must thank the Rare Artifact Hall for their support with today's event. I won't waste words. This time, I have invited everyone because I have something to ask. Grandmaster, please say. If our Rare Artifact Hall can do it, we will not refuse. There was an elegant smile on the middle-aged Mo's face. His voice was not loud but could be heard over the entire hall. Displeasure flashed across Tang Chen's eyes. He was very displeased that Rare Artifacts Hall had taken this opportunity before him. He knew that this was Xiao Yunhai's retaliation for being forced to come to the Tang family. Grandmasters, it was normal for them to have a temper. The smile on his face remained the same. Grandmaster, please say it. The Tang family is not some prestigious family, but there are not many things that we cannot do. His words were said indifferently but the dominance showed. The other people had planned on saying a few words but then perceptively closed their mouths. The entire place was unusually silent. Sui Mo was not affected at all. He looked around solemnly. This one needs something called the Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. One plant can be traded for an Earth Mo weapon. Whoosh! The crowd exploded. Someone couldn't resist asking, Grandmaster, you are serious? Sui Mo said without hesitation. Yes. Is the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike for trade? Someone else couldn't resist asking, wasn't it sold to the Rare Artifacts Hall? The middle-aged Mo also had a surprised expression. He had expected that Xiao Yunhai would have a goal but he had not expected that to be publicly announcing that he was buying Reversal Shadow Soul Silkgrass. The price he gave was also an Earth Mo weapon. He knew of the Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. However, it was produced in Nether Spring Jie. While the production of it was not high, it was not so rare. This price was one that no one would be able to resist. He immediately decided that he would send an order to search for Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass the moment he left the venue. When he heard people ask about the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike, his reaction was quick. Rare Artifacts Hall is willing to put the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike as a guarantee. An Earth Mo weapon was valuable, but it was definitely not a loss to use an Earth Mo weapon to trade for the friendship of a Grandmaster. Sui Mo was very surprised. He nodded at the middle-aged Mo with a friendly gaze. The middle-aged Mo immediately felt good, especially when he noticed that Tang Chen beside him had a black face. He was proud of how beautiful his move had been. Tang Chen was too overbearing in his action. Was something wrong with this person's brains to force a Grandmaster of unlimited potential? The middle-aged Mo looked down on this. But he stilled at Xiao Yunhai's next words. Thanks for Rare Artifact Hall's support, but I have already sold this Mo weapon to Rare Artifact Hall. This belongs to Rare Artifacts Hall, how can this one trade using that? Sui Mo's expression was confident as he looked around. His voice was not loud but it stunned the entire place. Each word was filled with power. 3 days later, I will start to forge another Earth Mo weapon. Sui Mo's expression was determined. If my luck is good, and I forge an Earth Mo weapon, I will leave the article at Rare Artifact Hall. Anyone can trade for this Mo weapon with a Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. I will trouble your hall for this. The middle-aged Mo's mouth was open, his expression stunned. He quickly reacted and nodded hurriedly, no problem, no problem. Tang Chen's expression was dark. He had been completely unprepared for the bomb that Xiao Yunhai had thrown out. But he quickly recovered. The corners of his mouth were smiling and full of disdain. As expected, this was the rashness of a young person. He had a little bit of accomplishment and he didn't know his own limit anymore. Did he really think that he could achieve anything? However, this was beneficial for the Tang family. He wanted to see how Xiao Yunhai would clean up this mess when he could not forge an Earth Mo weapon. At Buzhou City, no one except the Tang family could help him. Not even Rare Artifacts Hall. Tang Chen's gaze was dark and cold. Everyone was stunned where they stood. Zhuo Mo's words had caused them to lose the ability of speech. Forge an Earth MO weapon. What joke was this? What did he think an Earth MO weapon was? He could make one whenever he felt like it. Xiao Yunhai was crazy. Chapter 700, Old and Cunning an Earth MO Weapon. Xiao Yunhai. This was the hottest topic of the moment. All of the MO territories were paying attention to the news. Theoretically, while Earth MO weapons were rare and valuable, it was not enough to create such a great wave. But the extravagant promise that Xiao Yunhai had thrown out was too astounding. They did not know Xiao Yunhai's exact age, but he definitely was among the ranks of the youngest MO weapon grandmasters. His future could be said to be unlimited. Yet a MO weapon grandmaster of such potential had suddenly stated that he would trade an Earth MO weapon for a reverse shadow soul silkgrass. The entire MO territories were scorched by the bomb. Some were dismissive and snorted. The majority of people considered this a joke, and were simply watching the dubious spectacle. While Shen power was starting to appear in their visions, and MO skills were not considered the top tier of the powers now, Earth MO weapons were still one of the strongest weapons. Their limited number, the difficulty of creating them, the great power they contained, were all reasons it was valuable. Before Xiao Yunhai, no MO weapon grandmaster dared to announce that he would definitely forge another Earth MO weapon. In the history of the MO, the number of Earth MO weapons never surpassed 200 articles. But someone had suddenly ran out and stated that he was able to forge Earth MO weapons again. Even if he was a MO weapon master that had just become a grandmaster, it caused shock among the MO. The reverse shadow soul silkgrass was valuable, but its value could not rival Earth MO weapons. Its rarity was just because it was produced in Nether Spring Jia, the location was far and it was difficult to harvest. But this wasn't a problem to those prestigious families and large businesses that had far-reaching influence. However, the great majority of people only maintained the attitude of spectators. They didn't believe at all that Xiao Yunhai would be able to forge another Earth MO weapon. However, a small number of factions started to search for reverse shadow soul silkgrass with the aim of establishing friendly relations with the Grandmaster. They didn't have any hopes about the Earth MO weapon. In their view, while the reverse shadow soul silkgrass was valuable, it was still profitable if one used it to create relations with a MO weapon grandmaster. Events like this were undoubted ones that people liked to see and hear about. People were all waiting to see the young person who had just become a grandmaster and didn't know his own limits make a joke of himself. Some even started to take bets on whether Xiao Yunhai could forge a new Earth MO weapon. It had been so long since there had been such an entertaining event. The people of the MO territories were extremely interested. Such an interesting even. In the study. Virtuous nephew, what do you think? Tang Chen asked Gongzi Shi in interest. Gongzi Shi had a thoughtful expression. He grimaced and shook his head. This nephew doesn't know. This Xiao Yunhai is too hard to predict, he actually promised this in public, it really. He didn't know how to describe it. Tang Chen gave a smile. Virtuous nephew, do not be thrown by this. He must have disliked the treatment he received in these days and is not willing to stay in the Tang family. He purposefully acted in public to attract people's gazes. But if he doesn't have any confidence, would he dare to say this? Gongzi's eyes expression was puzzled. It is a terrible move made in panic, Tang Chen said coolly. Young people are always rash. This event is beneficial for us. This boy doesn't know his limits, but he does have some true skill. If we are able to use him, he would be of great benefit. Uncle is right, Gongzi Shi nodded and said. Tang Chen did not linger on this subject and changed the topic. I noticed that some of the people in your group do not look like Mo. Seeing the wry expression on Tang Chen's face, Gongzi Shi flushed slightly and reported the truth. Uncle may not know. They are the envoys from Tianhuan. Tang Chen's expression changed. Your father plans to ally with Tianhuan? Yes. Gongzi she nodded and said. Tang Chen was silently for a moment before speaking. It is good for you two families to ally together based on Tianhuan's power. One should always establish relations with those far away and attack those close by. Your two families do not have any conflicts of interest, and it is beneficial for both sides for you to help each other in secret. However, the two sides are far from each other. If there is alliance, it must be marriage. As he spoke, Tang Chen smiled. That female's identity must not be simple. Gongzi she said, she is the granddaughter of Tianhuan's sect leader. Tang Chen nodded. The families are matched in status. I see that you seem to like her. I will send a letter to your father and speak of this matter on your behalf. Gongzi she was overjoyed and made a deep bow. Nephew thanks uncle. Tang Chen held Gongzi she up. You father and his relationship was forged through life and death experiences. I think of you as my own nephew. There is no need for these courtesies. Then his tone became stern. There is something you need to remind your father. Gongzi she hurriedly said, Uncle, please speak. After a moment of silence, Tang Chen said gravely, Your father must already know about the Mo Shan temple. I see that your father is busy organizing his faction. If this was the past, this is the right choice, but it is not appropriate now. Gongzi she had a pondering expression. Uncle means to pay more attention to Shan power. Yes. Tang Chen nodded. You have also seen the power of Shan power. This is a power even stronger than Mo skill, Ling power, and Yao arts. One Mo god was enough to destroy all of Xian Kong Temple's elder core. This kind of strategic power is enough to change the state of world. Do you know how many military cores Xian Kong Temple's elder core is equal to? Without giving Gongzi she the time to think, Tang Chen continued to speak. You cannot fall behind at this time. The person who walks at the front in this field has the advantage. The Mo Shan Temple the greatest enemy of everyone. Gongzi she was not a wastrel. While he was a rake, he understood matters of war. He agreed with Tang Chen but he grimaced, it is not that father doesn't want, but he has not been able to get a foot in the door. Nephew knows that father has already started to build a Shan temple but the effect is not very good. The Mo Shan temple had hid and developed for 200 years. Of course it is not simple, Tang Chen said, you may want to find a breakthrough in another place. Gongzi she was intelligence. After a moment of thought, he understood. Uncle speaks of Xiao Mo Gu. Yes. Tang Chen praised. Xiao Mo guest trio all have Shan power inheritances. While they are not weak, they are lacking in comparison to the Mo Shan temple. If we gather our power, it is very likely we will gain what we desire. Xiao Mo Gu is a ghost and there is no trace of him now. Gongzi she looked at Tang Chen. When he noticed the imperceptible smile at the corner of Tang Chen's mouth, his body trembled, unless. Tang Chen had a proud expression. I have been keeping an eye on Xiao Mo Gu all this time. A while ago, the trio suddenly disappeared. I went to Yanmen Ocean to beg Great Shaman Sang Mingyu to divine. The Great Shaman owed me a favor in the past, and used 5 years of his life force to divine. He learned that the trio is near Buzhou City. Gongzi's eyes immediately lit up. Near Buzhou City. Yes, at the start, I suspected Xiao Yunhai was Xiao Mo Gu. He has 2 female servants fit with the description of Xiao Mo Gu. However, I had never heard that Xiao Mo Gu knows how to forge Mo weapons, much less earth Mo weapons. I purposefully was domineering in my conduct, one reason was to test him. But from his response, he doesn't seem to be the one. Gongzi she listened carefully in fear he would miss a detail. He thought back to Xiao Yunhai's actions and he agreed with uncle's judgment. That Xiao Yunhai didn't have the presence of a hero. While he was also powerful, his actions were rash. He was far from the uncanny Xiao Mo Gu. Tang Chen's gaze was deep. While he isn't Xiao Mo Gu, he is suitable to be bait. I heard that the anti-dragon claw Xiao Mo Gu obtained seemed to be heavily damaged. Xiao Yunhai is a MO weapon grandmaster and one of the most likely to be able to fix the anti-dragon claw. If Xiao Mo Gu knows of this, he definitely would not miss this chance. I had been thinking of how to spread the news. I hadn't expected Xiao Yunhai to attract so much attention and help us. Gongzi, she had an admiring expression. No wonder Uncle is supporting Xiao Yunhai. Uncle is wise and cunning. You really are the Oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada. Tang Chen's expression was normal. We only need to focus on Xiao Yunhai and wait. However, when Xiao Mo Gu shows up, we need enough experts in order to trap him. Gongzi Shi knew this was a rare opportunity and nodded without hesitation. Uncle, don't worry. I will send a message right now. Uncle Qin and Uncle Zhong are both present. Tang Chen's expression became relieved. I won't worry if old Qin and old Zhong can come. This matter is a great secret. Virtuous nephew, you cannot speak of this to anyone, including your future Tianhuan wife. The last words were teasing. Gongzi's eyes face turned red, but then he became serious. Uncle, do not worry. Nephew knows the importance of this and will not mention a word of it. Tang Chen nodded. I have spoken to you for so long. Go, don't like Tianhuan's little princess wait for too long. Unlike the other people that were waiting to see Xiao Yunhai become a joke, Qinghua Shui was full of confidence in Zhuo Mo. Only she knew that Xiao Yunhai was Xiao Mo Gu. With her understanding of Xiao Mo Gu, if Xiao Mo Gu dared to say the words, he had great confidence in the matter. Returning from the banquet, Qinghua Shui completely calmed down and descended into her thoughts. She had found Xiao Mo Gu, then what should she do next? Get close to him. But how to get close to him? Qinghua Shui was frustrated. No one would have thought that Zhuo Mo, who had just announced that he would trade Earth Mo weapons for reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass, was being troubled by a completely unrelated matter. That average-looking female and that strange feeling of familiarity. Zhuo Mo trusted his sixth sense highly. He knew this eerie feeling of familiarity would not appear without cause. He definitely had had some interaction with this person. But no matter how hard he thought, he could not find any information related to this female. In the sea of consciousness, the three discussed this matter. However, Pu Yao and Wei were sure they had never seen this female before. It really was strange. At this time, Zhuo Mo's body froze. A daring thought appeared. Once this thought appeared, it took over every corner of his body. Even Pu Yao and Wei didn't have an impression of her. Then this female definitely appeared before he encountered Pu Yao and Wei. Could it be? She appeared before his memories had been erased and his features changed. Chapter 701, The City Market. When Zhuo Mo thought about how the average-looking woman could have possibly been from before when his memories had been erased and his appearance changed, his mind could not remain calm. Because he was going to start forging Mo Wians 3 days later, the Tang family's protection eased off greatly. Other than a few guards, Zhuo Mo only had a Gue with him most of the time. Zhuo Mo was someone all of Buzhou City knew, especially when he had announced in such a flamboyant fashion that he was about to forge Mo weapons. He was the population topic of discussion. Consequently, when Zhuo Mo walked on the street, people continued to greet him. Of course, there were also people that were pointing at him in secret. Zhuo Mo's mind was full of his own thoughts. Maybe he could find a chance to probe this woman's origins. Suddenly, a guard said, Darren, this is the biggest materials market in Buzhou City. However, the majority of the items here are normal materials. He was puzzled. It was mostly low-level MO weapon masters that came to these markets for normal materials. They did not have enough mabe to buy rare and expensive materials. Good MO weapons usually required good materials. Even the best MO weapon master could not forge an Earth MO weapon with normal materials. He felt very puzzled when Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai had requested for them to take him to visit a market for normal materials. In his view, what the Grandmaster needed was the top kind of materials. Didn't he want to forge Earth MO weapons? But the higher-ups had ordered for them to unconditionally cooperate with Grandmaster's request if it was possible. Zhuo Mo's stray thoughts faded. He nodded. Let's go in. When they walked into the market, a wave of noise came at them. The stalls were organized neatly with large amounts of materials on display. The sound of bargaining, arguing, and cursing filled the air. It was possible to see the flushed faces everywhere. The guard couldn't help but freeze. As one of the best among the Tang family guards, the places he visited were usually elegant ones. It had been a long time since he had come to such a dirty and chaotic place. He glanced at Grandmaster out of the corner of his eyes. He saw that Grandmaster's expression was composed and without any unease. In reality, Zhuo Mo wasn't just at ease, he was slightly excited when he saw such a familiar scene. His stray thoughts were thrown away. It was like he was fired up, his eyes red, and his fighting spirit rose. The surroundings were filled with the sound of bargaining. Again. Bargain, bargain, bargain. 180 mabe. Are you joking? The quality is normal, oh, and there are 3 flaws. The quality can only be considered above average, you dare to ask for 180 mabe? 100. Don't joke, they'll give you 80 at most. 15 mabe, I want 100, are you going to sell? No. Let's go. I just said so. You still make a profit, don't think that I don't know. The guard leader gaped. Grandmaster was invincible as he bargained his way down. He felt that everything that was happening in front of him was incomprehensible. A great Grandmaster was arguing furiously with other people for just a few mabe, this. Shouldn't Grandmasters sit in the private rooms, drink the best wine, and elegantly pick the treasures surrounded by beautiful females? Zhuo Mo forgot himself in bargaining and felt great pleasure. But gradually, he found the situation wasn't quite right. 10 mabe, sell. Sell. Zhuo Mo looked with puzzlement at the shop owner. The shop owner's expression was excited as though he wanted to sell immediately. This wasn't right, 10 mabe was definitely just above cost. He had given the other 1 mabe above. He hadn't expected the shop owner to agree immediately. Something was strange. Was there something wrong with the wares? Zhuo Mo flipped it over and inspected it for a long time. He was even more puzzled. There were no problems. Suppressing the bewilderment he felt, he took 200 of the material. His gaze landed on another kind of material. Will you sell for 7 mabe? Sell. The shop owner nodded repeatedly. Zhuo Mo raised his head and couldn't help but curse, how can you do business like this? Sell for 7 mabe? Are you crazy? This costs at least 10 mabe, is something wrong with your head? The shop owner nodded with a dumb smile. Zhuo Mo stilled. Was this person really stupid? He raised his head and the excitement quickly receded. He immediately discovered the strangeness in the surroundings. The noisy market was silent. What was this? Zhuo Mo hurriedly looked around. When he saw everyone's gazes were on him, he understood. Cough, he hurriedly raised his head and puffed out his chest. He pointed at the things he had bought and said to the guard, oh, put these away. Yes. The guard leader's face was burning. Today was really a great embarrassment. He raised his head and glanced at Grandmaster. Grandmaster's expression was normal as though nothing had happened. As expected of Grandmaster, his face was thicker than normal people. Suddenly, a middle-aged person walked forward with an excited expression. Respected Grandmaster. Welcome. We feel honored by your arrival. Hello, hello. Swa Mo smiled. Please give us a list for what Grandmaster requires. We do not have anything good, but the quality of our low-level materials is not bad. The middle-aged person said respectfully. Swa Mo had come because he needed to use low-level materials. He had prepared a list before coming but hadn't expected that he would use it at this time. While he could not experience the pleasure of bargaining, it would save him effort. Swa Mo handed the list to the middle-aged person. The middle-aged person seemed to have a reputation here. He handed the list to the servant behind him and the servant went away to gather materials. Does Grandmaster need assistance? The middle-aged person inquired. The guard leader spoke in displeasure. Are you qualified to be Grandmaster's assistant? Humph. The MO weapon masters in the surroundings were silent. While the guard leader's words were harsh and not easy to hear, but it was the truth. The MO weapon masters that were in this place were not very good. But Swa Mo was moved. If they have talent, they may be able to learn from me. His words were pretentious but the effect was excellent. The MO weapon masters in the surroundings became excited. Many of them had desirous expression. Even the middle-aged person was slightly excited. But he was experienced and did not lose his calm. How do we judge for the talent that Grandmaster speaks of? After thinking, Swa Mo said, use MO weapons, the grade doesn't matter, just let me have a look. The guard leader felt disdain but he could not speak now, otherwise his actions would mean not giving Grandmaster face. The MO weapon masters here were not good ones. The MO weapon masters at Buzhou City who had talent were almost all part of the Tang family. These toads wanted to eat the meat of a swan. They were delusional. He didn't understand. Grandmaster actually agreed to such a boring and meaningless matter. There were countless MO weapon masters in the Tang family that wanted to be Grandmaster's assistant. While this Grandmaster liked to boast, he was still a Grandmaster. He could not understand Swa Mo's way of thinking. A pile of MO weapons were quickly laid out and presented in front of Swa Mo. The guard leader took a glance and then snorted. There wasn't even a single colonel-level MO weapon here. Swa Mo ignored the sneer of the guard leader. His gaze swept across the MO weapons. His gaze suddenly stopped on a dagger MO weapon. He took out the dagger, raised it up and asked, who made this MO weapon? A youth with a slightly pale complexion walked out of the crowd. His face was flushed and he was excited. Grandmaster, I made it. Swa Mo then asked him a few questions. The youth responded smoothly and Swa Mo confirmed that he was the one to forge the dagger. Swa Mo nodded. Starting today, you are my assistant. Gasp. The people around shouted in shock. Disbelief and joy floated into the youth's face. The middle-aged person was also very excited. He went forward and hugged the youth. Then he said solemnly, Sproutling, be good and learn from Grandmaster. His fellows came up to congratulate him. Everyone knew that this opportunity would alter Sproutling's fate. The guard leader's face was not very good. He hadn't thought that Grandmaster would really select an assistant from here. As a guard of the Tang family, he naturally put the Tang family first. There were so many Tang family MO weapon masters waiting for the opportunity but an outsider had gotten there first. While it was not his mistake, he could not escape being connected to this. Grandmaster, shouldn't this? He couldn't help but speak. Swa Mo's expression darkened. Do I need to report my actions to you? Hearing this, the guard leader's heart jumped and he hurriedly said, Grandmaster is joking, this one doesn't dare. But Grandmaster is of high status, and your safety should be prioritized. This person is unknown. Sproutling's face paled. Swa Mo impatiently interrupted the guard leader. I have my own way of conduct. The guard leader gritted his teeth and persisted. If something happens to Grandmaster, and the Patriarch assigns blame, this one. Ague, throw him out, Zhuemo said coolly. Ague, who had been silently standing next to Zhuemo, suddenly disappeared. The guard leader was shocked. Before he could react, his neck was gripped and he wasn't able to use his own strength. Whoosh, he flew out of the market. He smashed onto the ground, and wasn't able to get up for a while. The faces of the other guards changed. They were about to move, but when they saw that Ague didn't seem to have moved at all, their faces were ashen white. Their fighting spirit that had just started to burn immediately disappeared. Agui's undying Shen power had a great qualities. It had no color and was extremely deceptive. What's your name? Zhuemo asked Sproutling in a gentle gon. Sproutling gathered his courage. Grandmaster, I don't have a name, they all call me Bean Sprout or Sproutling. No name, your parents? Zhuemo asked. They are dead. Sproutling said in a low voice. Zhuemo was slightly surprised. He suddenly thought of himself and felt emotional. But he quickly raised his head and patted Sproutling's thin shoulder. Your way of thinking is good, but there are some mistakes. Is there a small MO weapon pool here? The middle-aged person knew that Zhuemo was going to teach Sproutling and was overjoyed. He hurriedly said, yes yes yes. Zhuemo looked at the MO weapon masters in the surroundings with desire on their faces and smiled. You can all come watch. All of the MO weapon masters cheered. Zhuemo definitely would not have thought that his accidental action would. Chapter 702, The Snow of the Blue Flower. The little MO pool in the market was low-grade and usually used by the low-level MO weapon masters who were short on money. Naturally, the results were never very good. The middle-aged person was slightly embarrassed, and all the MO weapon masters all had expressions of embarrassment. It really was lowering Grandmaster's status to have him use such a low-grade MO weapon pool. It was not acceptable, but they did not have any better MO weapon pools. They looked uncertainly at Zhuemo. Zhuemo did not care. He looked at the MO weapon pool and then moved his gaze away. He turned around and faced the crowd with the dagger that Sproutling had made in his hand. The concept behind this dagger is very interesting. It has three primary materials: whitewood bone, ice blue stone, and concerted shine crystal. Everyone perked their ears up and focused in fear of missing a single word. I believe that everyone knows these three materials. Most people would use the whitewood bone as the base material, the ice blue stone to give it the trait of iciness, and then use the concerted shine crystal in order to merge the two together. Some of the MO weapon masters nodded. This was the basic method, and even the most ignorant MO weapon master knew it. They were curious. The more basic the materials were, the harder it was to do something new with it. They could not think how these three basic materials could be put together any other way. But Sproutling's thinking is unorthodox. He used the concerted shine crystal as the base, and then used the whitewood bone and the ice blue stone as materials to strengthen it. Gasps rang out. Everyone felt this recipe was impossible and unconventional. Speaking from the view of traditional MO weapon forging, this is completely against the rules. The concerted shine crystal is a very good low-level material, but it is not a material that can act as the base for a weapon because it is too soft. The MO weapon masters almost unconsciously nodded. As a result, Sproutling treated the concerted shine crystal with the sap of the fragrant leaf tree to merge gold thread amber, and hardened concerted shine crystal after the whitewood bone and ice blue stone was merged. Some MO weapon masters had thoughtful expressions. This is a creative idea. Zhuemo's words caused Bean Sprout to flush. Bean Sprout knew just how terribly his dagger was made. Zhuemo changed subject. But in order to finish this line of creative thought, good forging technique is required. Whitewood bone is rarely used as a base and people will rarely remember that it has a trait, wood thread. The entire crowd was silent, and everyone had expressions of respect. If people had a thread of doubt about Suo Mo's skill due to the rumors before this, then the doubt now disappeared. Even the basic materials in Grandmaster's mouth had all kinds of transformations. In the eyes of many people, wood thread is a trait that isn't useful, but if it is used well, it will have unusual effects. Finishing his analysis, he started to throw materials towards the MO weapon pool. With each item, he would say the name of the material, and then explain why he was using this material as well as the details that one needed to pay attention to. The MO weapon masters didn't dare to make a sound. They were like Suo Mo's students and listened with a tinge of devoutness. Low-level MO weapon masters did not have any status in society. Their income was low, and making a living was difficult. Their skill was crude, which meant they were unable to make fine MO weapons. Their income was limited, which in turn caused them to lose the possibility of improving. They knew just how rare this chance was. A grandmaster was giving them a lecture. This was the only and the most important class in their life. Their gazes as they looked at Suo Mo were filled with sincere respect and gratefulness. They memorized Suo Mo's practiced skill and the contents he spoke casually off. The usually noisy market was completely silent. Suo Mo's voice was the only sound that echoed. All of the shop owners did not make a sound. They knew the difficulties of these low-level MO masters. Many of them were friends. They did not understand deep principles, but they were infected by this devoutness, yearning and passion. In this moment, in this place that only recognized Mabe, there was no low and high status of society. Afterwards a completely new style of MO weapon masters would form from here. They preferred simple and practical materials. They aimed to be creative, they were enthusiastic about the spread of MO weapon skills. They had a special name, they were the market MO weapon masters. Those damned bastards. The guard leader gritted his teeth. Ague was never light-handed when she attacked. While he wasn't wounded, he was left disheveled and there was a large green bruise on his face. He quickly noticed the burning gazes in the surroundings and wanted to find a crack in the ground to hide in. One of the guard leaders of the Tang family was left in such a sorry state. At this time, a familiar, grave and murderousness voice sounded. "Old Three, what happened?" "Head." He climbed up from the ground with embarrassment. "Head. What happened?" Boss' face was murderousness and his gaze vicious. He was sitting on top of his MO steed that seemed to be a small mountain. The steed's 4 limbs seemed to be made from iron, the long tail spiked. There was an arm-thick horn at its forehead that flashed with a blue light. This was a sword-tailed blue-horned rhinoceros. It was vicious and battle-hungry, a powerful offensive MO steed. The Grandmaster. Head immediately understood and his face abruptly changed. His eyes flashed with a cold light as he said, "Even a Grandmaster doesn't qualify to run rampant on our Tang family's land." He had disliked Xiao Yunhai's proud attitude a long time ago. The Tang family treated him as an honored guest, yet he was so proud. Even if he might be punished by the patriarch today, he would teach that person who did not know his limits whose land he was on. "Big brother, be careful of that servant of his," the guard leader gritted out. "Yes, I will cripple her," Head said coolly. When he finished speaking, he picked up a long spear hanging from the MO steed. He looked towards the depth of the market. Xiao Yunhai's voice was coming faintly from it. It was unusually silent inside. He did not care. He had absolute confidence in his own power. He nudged the sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros under his body. With every step, the ground trembled slightly. Clip-boom, clip-boom. The head of the sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros started to lower. The blue horn flashed with a soul-shaking light. A low howl came from its mouth. Its heavy breathing showed that it was gathering its strength. The head had a secure grip on the long spear in his hand. His cold face seemed to be carved from stone. The battle spirit that came from the MO steed under him caused his eyes to rapidly turn red. The icy feeling from the long spear in his hand removed the last stray thought in his mind. Qinghua Shui was enchanted as she listened. There was a knowing smile on her lips. Actually, she didn't understand what Sui Mo was saying at all. For a Yao Mo weapon forging was so cryptic it was like trying to read the heavens. But she could feel the unique atmosphere of the market. She did not realize that there was a respectful expression on her face. The Xiao Mo Gu in front of her was so unfamiliar. It was unlike the Xiao Mo Gu that Qinghua Shui had seen in the mirages. There was natural and indescribable presence emanating from his body. She had been paying attention to Sui Mo all this time. Sui Mo had not concealed his tracks and she had quickly followed him as he left the Tang Manor. Ning Shiner couldn't help but tease. But had agreed to help cover her for. They were not like Ji Liu who could come and go as she wished. Qinghua Shui had seen the entire course of events. She had never thought that Xiao Mo Gu would pay attention to the lowest level of Mo weapon masters. Compared to the strict class structure of the Mo, the Yao were slightly better, but even for the Yao no grandmaster would be like this. Definitely not. The grandmasters were of great status, far above these Mo weapon masters of the lowest class. But such a scene was happening in front of her, and the reason was Xiao Mo Gu that she had been searching all this time. When her gaze swept across the respect and devoutness on the aces of these low-level Mo weapon masters, she suddenly was moved. For some unknown reason. An enormous figure suddenly blocked the entrance to the market. A strong killing energy was like a cold and snowy wind that blew in. The temperature inside the market immediately dropped. Humph! A cold snort exploded like thunder. The Mo weapon masters that had weak Mo skills changed expression in unison. Qinghua Zhu's pupils suddenly contracted. An enormous figure charged like a strong wind. Qinghua Shui's body reacted immediately. Like a blue bolt of lightning, she suddenly appeared in front of the other's path. When she blocked the other, she suddenly realized what she had done. Unrelated people, move. The thunderous and furious howl, along with the roar of the wind and the rumble of the ground shaking echoed through the entire market. Several serene blue flowers floated up from her hand. Blue flower. What was she doing? Having suddenly realized this, Qinghua Shui's face burned, but at this time, she did not have the attention to question her reaction. While she was from a branch family, she possessed the greatest talent among the youngest generation of the Qinghua family. All of this was displayed now. In the eyes of everyone else, Qinghua Shui's gaze was as sharp as a sword. At this time, she was like an unsheathed sword. She was fearless. She had discovered her weakness in the fight against Sui Mo. Her talent was outstanding, but she had lacked combat experience. She had strength, but there was not much of it she could express. But now, after resolving that, her power had skyrocketed. The present her was not the same as in the past. The moment the blue flowers floated up, she detected a pause from Xiao Mo Gu behind her. While that pause was imperceptible, it caused her fighting spirit to rise to the peak. All of her terror and timidity disappeared. In this moment, she only had one thought: she was going to show her power in front of Xiao Mo Gu. Show all of it. Chapter 703, Interference. The beautiful yet fragile blue flowers caused the leader of the Tang family guards to feel a trembling in his heart. He immediately threw away all of his underestimation and condescension. His narrowed eyes were now full of wariness. Who was this woman? The blue flowers floating in his view brimmed with hidden killing intent. The head's gaze turned grave. His legs squeezed, and the sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros under him accelerated in response. Its enormous body was like an arrow leaving the bow. It left after images in the air, and the deep roar immediately disappeared. A point of blinding cold light seemed to come out of the air, and quickly spread among the blue flowers. The space around the blue flowers seemed to solidify. The point of blinding cold energy was like a whirlpool that sucked countless blue flowers towards the dot like moths to a flame. Something from nothingness spear. The head stone-like cold face appeared after the point of cold energy faded. He detected the power of the blue flowers and his first move was a killing move. A light flashed across Sui Mo who was beside the Mo weapon pool. He was shocked inside. This strike contained laws of domain. With just this strike, this person could be counted among the ranks of experts. It's something from nothingness spear. Wei was slightly surprised. Such a strange name, Sui Mo couldn't resist saying. Wei chatted, the something from nothingness spear is the peak work for spear-type Mo skills. Ever since it was created, it was one of the most powerful spear-type Mo skills. However, it is extremely difficult to cultivate. I had thought it was lost, and had not expected to see it today. Sui Mo found it easy to multitask. He had no difficulty splitting his attention when forging a low-level Mo weapon. Most of his attention was on the two people fighting. He recognized Qinghua Shui. He had a deep impression of her from that fight against in the 10-finger prison. Pu Yao and Wei also recognized her. This girl seems much stronger than last time. Pu Yao was slightly shocked. It is definitely because our strong little Mo stole her heart. She worked hard, and see, she chased him all the way to the Mo territories. Such a good girl. Wei was like a gossiping old woman. Sui Mo was so disgusted by that little Mo, he almost ruined the Mo weapon in the Mo weapon pool. He was furious. Wei, I said that you aren't allowed to call me little Mo. Pu Yao nodded and said, this girl's blue flower is pretty good. However, is there something wrong with the minds of the Qinghua family? They have let such a talent out without any protection. Aren't they afraid that something will happen? Maybe she sneaked out of her home and has come in search of our little Mo. Wei inserted. Sui Mo gritted through his teeth, Wei, I said not to call me little Mo. At this time, Pu Yao rubbed his chin and said seriously, Aswa, how about you seduce her? Recruit her. Give me half a year, I definitely can create an expert. Sui Mo realized that it was a dead end to talk to these two heartless people. He decided to ignore the two scoundrels and put his attention on the fight occurring. The space around the two fighting was now twisting and crumbling. That point of cold energy was as bright as a star. The blue flowers flew towards the dot of cold energy as though they were being sucked into a whirlpool. Qinghua Shui felt slight shock at the other's spear thrust but she didn't feel any fear. Her mind was focused. She spread her arms. Her straight back, her full chest, her tight waist and pert behind formed a soul-stealing curving figure. In this moment, the painting seemed to be set. A beautiful curve, a young face with the eyes slightly closed, one had to sigh at the wonder of creation. Qinghua Shui had a small confident smile on her face that was tinged with piousness. It was like the last stroke that made the drawing come to life. Her long and white fingers were wrapped in threads of blue energy. Zing! A high metallic sound spread across the entire field. The cold energy lit up and the blue flowers that were pulled in were torn into pieces. Qinghua Shui opened her eyes at this moment. Each of her eyes had a blue flower floating in them. The two blue flowers slowly spun. Blue sprouts suddenly appeared on her hands. These sprouts grew at an astounding rate. In a blink, the blue vines almost completely took over the space between the two fighters. When these blue vines were furiously grown, the head had a strong feeling of danger. When they had just came into contact, he did not know what these blue flowers were. However, when he destroyed these dangerous blue flowers, he knew that these were Yao arts. This fragile female in front of him was a Yao. The head immediately started to hesitate. Such a powerful Yao was definitely part of the Yao envoy. The patriarch had ordered them not to offend the Yao envoys. This Yao envoy was the first one that the government of the Yao had sent in the last decade. Behind them was the highest authority of the Yao, the Council of Elders. This caused the head to have second thoughts, yet when he found that the surrounding space was almost completely taken over by the blue vines, his expression changed. All of his hesitations were thrown away. The strong murderousness from the young woman caused his hairs to stand on end. Such a vicious girl. The other was trying to kill him. Experienced in battle, the head immediately understood that if he did not fight with his full power, his life would probably end here. The sword-tail blue horn rhinoceros under him also detected danger and gave a low growl. The head patted the restless sword-tail blue horn rhinoceros and it immediately calmed down. In his field of view, the packed blue vines were like an enormous cage. The blue flowers were blossoming on the vine and the number was astounding. Domain. The other was a Yao expert that had also comprehended domain. The head bowed his body slightly and tightened his grip on the long spear. Azwa, this is a bit like your Yao art cages. Pu Yao was the first to discover this. Wei was immediately excited. Proof. Proof. This is proof. Little Mo, she clearly has been in love with you for a long time. Sui Mo was also slightly surprised. Qinghua Shui's blue flower cage was very similar to the Yao art cages he had once used in the 10-finger prison. This similarity wasn't just in shape, but in many crucial parts of its structure. However, Sui Mo snorted at Weiss' clearly one-sided thinking. It most likely was that the other was not willing to accept her past defeat. She had searched for his mirages to search for his weakness and incorporated what she learned in her own style. Sui Mo felt that his line of thinking was more reliable. The other had stopped this attack for him probably with the intention that she could have a fair battle with him after. While the other's powerful blue flowers had grown in power and caused Sui Mo's blood to heat slightly, when he thought of the trouble that would be caused if his identity was exposed, Sui Mo's fighting spirit quickly disappeared. It really was troublesome. Sui Mo started to ponder another important question. Had this woman recognized him already? She definitely had. For some reason, Sui Mo had this strong feeling. Maybe it was Qinghua Shui's strong fighting spirit that stimulated him. He had a high confidence that the other had recognized him. Damn it! When Sui Mo realized this, he had a headache. He had to think of what to do next. What to do about it? Sacrifice yourself. Little Mo. Wei excitedly suggested. Sacrifice yourself. Azwa. Pu Yao was serious. But then dark snickered echoed in the sea of consciousness. Sui Mo had no more hopes for these two. Suddenly, a voice interrupted Sui Mo's thoughts. Fighting and killing is not good. If there is time, everyone should drink together. A cold wind energy suddenly appeared in front of Qinghua Shui and the head. This wind appeared suddenly without any warning. A thread of shock flickered through Qinghua Shui's eyes. She didn't even know how the wind that broken through her blue flower cage. The head that had just been about to attack suddenly froze. He could not suppress the shock in his eyes. The wind was at his side but he hadn't detected it at all. Unfathomable power. The beautiful, blue flower cage, shattered into fragments of energy. Qinghua Shui released her Yao art. The restless sword-tail blue horn rhinoceros was docile and the head's terrifying presence had disappeared. A figure slowly walked out. It was Feng Xinz. When she found that the person was Feng Xinz, Qinghua Shui's expression recovered as though nothing had happened. She went forward and bowed, Darren. It seems that the blue flower family made a wrong judgment. Feng Xinz smiled and said, I remember that you are from a branch family. Yes, Darren, Qinghua Shui replied with an indifferent expression. Good, good. Feng Xinz nodded and then said coolly, no matter what ideas you have, since you are a member of the envoys, you have to consider and not make trouble for everyone. Darren is right, Shui was rash, Qinghua Shui said apologetically. Feng Xinz saw her good attitude and nodded. He turned and said to the head, "This one subordinate is young and ignorant to offend sire. Sire, please have tolerance." The head looked deeply at Feng Xinz, who had a gentle smile on his face without any unease. Then he left without a word. When the sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros left the market, the MO weapon masters in the market finally relaxed. They had been at Buzhou City for a long time and knew how bad the temper of the Tang family head guard was. Killing was a simple matter for him. Even the guards of the Tang family feared their head and that they would be killed if they angered him. The gazes of the MO weapon masters landed on Feng Xinz, all of them with respect and awe, especially the women. Some even have infatuated eyes. Feng Xinz's appearance was handsome, and his smile friendly. He had a sunny aura, and his power great. No matter where, this kind of person would shine like the sun. Feng Xinz looked in interest at the MO weapon pool as though he had never seen a MO weapon being forged before. When another figure walked out, the crowd immediately shifted. When the peerlessly beautiful Ji Liu arrived, all the light of the market seemed to gather on her. She walked next to Feng Xinz and thoughtfully glanced at the indifferent Qinghua Shui before moving her gaze to Zui Mo. Something strange suddenly was occurring at the MO weapon pool. Chapter 704, Taken to control the black pool. Water gradually became clear. It was possible to see to the bottom. There wasn't any impurity. A blue dagger silently laid at the bottom of the pool. The surrounding MO weapon masters stretched out their necks in hope they could see the newly forged MO weapon. Everyone was very curious what the low-level materials could do in the hands of a MO weapon grandmaster. Zhuo Mo's hand shook slightly. The dagger suddenly flew out of the pool and landed in his hand. People found to their shock that there was an extremely thin gray shadow at the end of the dagger that was difficult to see with the naked eye. The smarter people immediately thought of the trait of the white wood bone that was easily missed, wood thread. Zui Mo had perfectly and carefully modified all the details of the dagger. The MO matrices on the surface of the dagger were exquisite and elegant. The dagger was as thin as a piece of paper. It was covered in blue Mo matrices which made it seem like a work of art rather than a weapon to kill. Zui Mo did not use MO matrices of high level. These low-level materials could not tolerate high-level MO matrices. The MO weapon masters present almost all recognized every MO matrix on the dagger, but Zui Mo had spent some effort on choosing and matching the MO matrices. The unique trait of the ice blue stone was completely expressed and gave the dagger the attribute of ice. However, Zui Mo used a MO matrix that would conceal its energy to hide the ice. When the dagger left the user's hand, it wouldn't be possible to detect any icy presence. The white wood bone increased the dagger's flexibility. Its wood thread trait was the attribute that Zui Mo had strengthened the most. The strong wood threads were treated with shadow fluid to make it even stronger and harder to detect. The concerted shine crystal was a material that was usually used during changes. It was used as the base to make the base even more suitable for transformation. The main body of the base was covered in shadow MO matrices that could cause it to turn to shadow. Zui Mo had set down armor-breaking MO matrices at the blade edge of the dagger. The armor-breaking MO matrices and the ice MO matrices were connected, and they would touch the hand together. The MO matrix at the handle of the dagger was called interlink. It could increase the synchronization between the MO weapon and the user. When this dagger passed among the hands of the MO weapon masters, everyone was stunned by this work. Brigadier-level MO weapon. This was a MO weapon suited for assassination. If it was sold at any auction, it could easily be sold for 2 million mabe, yet the cost of the materials was just 600 mabe. As expected of the Grand Master. These MO weapon masters were completely stunned by Zui Mo's ability to turn trash into treasure. Low-level materials just worth 600 mabe was able to forge a brigadier-level MO weapon that was over 2 million mabe in value. Such skill was uncanny. Yet they were able to understand the entire process, and Zhuo Mo had not hidden any of his thoughts. They even recognized the MO matrices, but they would still be unable to make one. Even some intermediate and high-level MO weapon masters would not be able to put so many MO matrices on the little dagger, much less these low-level MO weapon masters. But this little MO weapon gave them great inspiration. Zhuo Mo's way of thinking and his use of MO matrices were different than the traditional MO weapon masters. Good MO weapon. Ji Liu suddenly gave a compliment. Her voice was soft and pleasing to hear. Miss Ji is too complimentary. Zhuo Mo nodded politely at the other. He still remembered Tang Chen's introduction at the banquet. In the Sea of Consciousness, Pu Yao asked Zhuo Mo, "Do you still remember her? Have we met before?" Zhuo Mo stilled and asked. "Then why do you remember the Qinghua family female?" Pu Yao asked. "Because of love." Wei came over to say. Zhuo Mo rolled his eyes. "Of course I remember her after fighting her." Pu Yao was slightly excited. "Just like me in the past, not enchanted by beauty." Wei interrupted with a sympathetic expression. "Now I know why you still yearned after Boss, and can't forget her after thousands of years. How hard did Boss beat you up in the past?" "Ha!" Pu Yao's expression froze on his face, and quickly became twisted. These two were really lively now. Zhuo Mo came out of the Sea of Consciousness. However, he didn't have any impression of Ji Liu. Ji Liu was slightly discontent. From the start, this Xiao Yunhai didn't seem to have any patience for her. Even if she took the initiative, the other still had an indifferent wooden face. She questioned, did this person even have any other expression? Her beauty that never failed didn't seem to have any use on him. Ji Liu was very perceptive. While Zhuo Mo did not say anything to Qinghua Shui, but she detected that Zhuo Mo had more of an interest in Qinghua Shui than in her. She was not in a good mood. While she did not feel that Xiao Yunhai was great, and there was nothing about him that attracted her, the other's dismissal of her stirred her desire to win. Did that Qinghua Shui qualify to steal the limelight from her? "This MO weapon is very beautiful, can Mr. give it to Liu?" Ji Liu controlled her performance to the perfect degree and looked hopefully at Zhuo Mo. Zhuo Mo almost said, 2 million mabe, thanks for your patronage, but managed to react. He forced a smile, and said, "My apologies, this MO weapon is an example for the public and will be placed at the market." "That really is a regret." Ji Liu's enchanting smile did not fade. "Does Mr. Xiao have time tonight?" "Very sorry, this one has other matters to attend to tonight." Zhuo Mo shook his head and refused directly. Disappointment finally appeared on Ji Liu's face. Her brow creased and she looked pitifully at Zhuo Mo. The surrounding people all had expressions of conflict. They all felt that Grandmaster treating Ji Liu like this was cruel. They didn't dare to speak up because of Grandmaster's high status. If this was any other person, they would have rushed in to beat the person up. Zhuo Mo's MO skill was high and his mind strong. Unless it was against freaks like eldest Shixiang, Zhuo Mo thought he would not be weaker than anyone. Ji Liu's charm clothing had negligible effects on Zhuo Mo. Ji Liu was now actually slightly angry. She had almost never begged like this, and hadn't thought that she would encounter resistance today. The proud Ji Liu said coldly, "Then this one will not delay Grandmaster." Finished, she turned to leave. Feng Xinz had a grimace on his face as he raised his hand in farewell to Zhuo Mo. "Grandmaster, do not be angry, her temper is like this. This one will bid farewell, if there is time, let's go drinking together." Then he turned to say to Qinghua Shui, "There is nothing going on recently. If you are interested in MO weapons, why don't you assist Grandmaster? You have to listen to Grandmaster's orders." Qinghua Shui's expression was not too surprised or joyed. She coolly bowed and said, "Yes." Feng Xinz looked deeply at Qinghua Shui. For the first time, he felt as though he could not see through this little girl from the branch family of the blue flower family. This was not a woman that would follow the herd. However, it fit into Feng Xin's aims that she was interested in Xiao Yunhai. Feng Xin had been frustrated over being unable to get close to Xiao Yunhai. While there were no clues that Xiao Yunhai and Xiao Mo Gu were related, Feng Xin had a feeling that the two definitely had a connection. When Zhuo Mo heard Feng Xin's words, he frowned. In his view, Qinghua Shui was big trouble. This person who knew his identity was a bomb that could explode at any time. He hadn't expected Feng Xin to have her follow him around. He was just about to speak, but Feng Xin did not give him a chance to speak and disappeared. Qinghua Shui greets Grandmaster. Grandmaster, please tell me if there is something to be done, Qinghua Shui said with a faint smile. For some unknown reason, she felt as though the dark clouds had dissipated, and the sun was so bright. Qinghua Shui, so she was called Qinghua Shui. The more he looked at her, the more Zhuo Mo felt that the words, "the scheme was successful," was written on her face. He immediately had a headache. But he could not kill her. What do you think we should do? Zhuo Mo could only find Pu Yao and Wei to discuss. Sacrifice yourself, little Mo. This will take care of everything. Wei said determinedly. If Zhuo Mo had a knife in his hand, he would throw it towards Wei. Azwa, you have to think of a way to get her on your side. Pu Yao said seriously. It seems that we have to first discuss the problem of rent. Zhuo Mo gritted his teeth. Wei immediately slipped away. Pu Yao's expression froze, but then he said with concern as though nothing had happened, you know that it is very likely she will expose you. The best way to deal with such a threat is to kill such a dangerous woman. Dead people cannot speak. However, you cannot do this now, but you can go for the alternative. Bring her on your side, let her say within your control, this will lower the risk that you will be exposed. This seemed reasonable. Zhuo Mo thought. He had to admit that Pu Yao's words were reasonable. Then how can I get her on my side? Zhuo Mo asked. Pu Yao thought and said, 2 ways, I see that Qinghua Shui has intentions of coming to your side, this shouldn't be a big problem. However, you have to consider the Yao envoy. She is a member of the envoy and you need the agreement of the envoy. The agreement of the envoy? Zhuo Mo felt the matter was far more troublesome than he had imagined. He was full of regret. Why did he fight Qinghua Shui in the past? On the surface, the leader of the envoy is Ji Liu, but I think the true commander is Feng Xin. Pu Yao said solemnly. You have to be careful, this person is cunning and powerful. He is not easy to deal with. Well, deal with Feng Xin later. Zhuo Mo also felt that Feng Xin would be difficult to deal with. He decided to put this problem to the side and asked a more practical question. What can I do to get her completely in my control? Have her look after your daily matters. Pu Yao darkly said. This idea was pretty good. Looking at Qinghua Shui that was waiting for him to speak, Zhuo Mo threw away his thoughts of getting her as far away as possible. His tone changed, then from today, you can take of my daily matters. Bean Sprout is responsible for the duties related for Mo weapon forging. A smile appeared at the corner of Qinghua Shui's mouth. Many thanks, Grandmaster. Bean Sprout also bowed. I will definitely work hard. He had to get her in his control. Zhuo Mo gritted his teeth and reminded himself. Chapter 705, All sides. Feng Xin listened to the sound of dishes being smashed inside the room and smiled dismissively before turning and leaving. In his eyes, Ji Liu might be beautiful, but she was proud like a peacock displaying himself. Other than those few grand feathers, her intelligence was not enough to rival her beauty. In comparison, Feng Xin admired Qinghua Shui's coldness and composure more. He was not sure if it was a good move to arrange for Qinghua Shui to be with Xiao Yunhai. He couldn't see through this girl. If he hadn't seen the fight with his own eyes, Feng Xinz definitely would have never expected that the silent Qinghua Shui would possess such great power. Feng Xinz, who had always prided himself on his eyes, had to admit that his judgment had been wrong this time. However, he did not worry that Qinghua Shui would do anything stupid. The Blue Flower family had some political power, but they could not oppose the Council of Elders. Qinghua Shui would not disregard the rest of the Blue Flower family. He actually hoped that Qinghua Shui would give an even better performance. The Yao did not need a Mo weapon grandmaster, but if they had one, the Council of Elders would undoubtedly have a bargaining chip on their side during negotiations with the Mo. This would be a very effective bargaining chip as it had a fatal attraction to any Mo faction. Feng Xinz entered the 10-finger prison like usual. When he saw Mingyu Yes back, he unconsciously lightened his steps. It was her peerlessly beautiful figure that caused Feng Xinz to willingly serve her. Mingyu Yi turned around. That heavenly beautiful face entered Feng Xinz's vision. Feng Xinz's heart imperceptibly quickened. "Thank you." Mingyu Yi smiled slightly. Feng Xinz tried to let himself relax. He said teasingly, "It's actually relaxing. We have good food and beautiful women on this journey. It would have been wonderful if my journey in the past were so comfortable." Mingyu Yes' lips curved slightly as a smile flashed. Her finger flickered and a ball of light left her hand. "Oh, it seems that there have been new developments." Feng Xinz muttered as he received the ball of light. The information flowed across his mind. Moments later, his expression became surprised. "Xiao Mo Gu is at Buzhou City. This is confirmed." "Confirmed." Mingyu Yi nodded and was unusually sure. Feng Xinz did not ask any more questions. Mingyu Yi Darren was sure. Then this was definitely true. He continued to read. When he saw the next line, he exclaimed in shock. "Xiao Yunhai." Yes, we have not discovered Xiao Yunhai's origins now, but his identity as a Mo weapon grandmaster can be used. If Xiao Mo Gu is at Buzhou City, he would definitely find Xiao Yunhai to repair the anti-dragon claw. The anti-dragon claw is a Sky Missouri weapon. If there is even the slightest possibility of repairing it, there is no reason that Xiao Mo Gu would pass up this chance. When Mingyu Yi spoke of these matters, she would give off an intimidating and authoritative presence. Her eyes were as bright as stars. Some people were born to be leaders. Countless experts had submitted to Mingyu Yi's powerful presence. There were already rumors in the higher levels that it was likely she would replace the chief elder and become the next leader of the Council of Elders. Her intelligence had won the praise of the great majority of elders. No one in her generation could compare to her. Speaking of this, I have just become interested with Xiao Yunhai today, Feng Xinz said solemnly. "Oh, how is this person?" Mingyu Yi's beautiful eyes flashed in interest. "I cannot see through him," Feng Xinz said with a smile. Li Yu was rejected by him. However, what was really surprising today was the girl from the Blue Flower family. Blue Flower family? I remember she is called Qinghua Shui. Mingyu Yi had an eidetic memory and quickly found a match after some thought. Yes, her. I really felt ashamed, even I made a wrong judgment regarding her. This female is secretive, and her, Blue Flower, is definitely the strongest of the younger generation of the Blue Flower family. I speculate that the Blue Flower family also have not realized her potential. Otherwise, they definitely would not have sent her on this trip. Feng Xinz had an expression of self-mockery. I was the one who failed to fulfill my duties and did not discover this before. Mingyu Yi honestly admitted her mistake. Who could have thought of this? She was hidden very well. If it wasn't that she fought today, I wouldn't have seen it. Feng Xinz hurriedly said, "This female is daring and careful, calm and composed. However, she seems to have good feelings towards Xiao Yunhai and tried to do all she could to get near him. I had her follow Xiao Yunhai for now. This may be a blessing in disguise. You need to pay more attention to Xiao Yunhai. Two suspect that Tang Chen may also know that Xiao Yunhai is the best way to find Xiao Mo Gu, Ming Yuyi warned. Your safety is first, do not pursue Xiao Mo Gu too hard. The Mo Shan Temple has given UPS great inspiration. We have some hints of understanding Shan power. When you return, there should be results. Feng Xian's heart warmed, but it was overtaken by joy. Congratulations, Darren. He knew that Ming Yuyi had an extremely secretive team of powerful elders who did not care for politics. The goal of this small team was to solve the mysteries of Shan power. It seemed now that there were tangible developments. This was a deed that no one could shake. Ming Yuyi, who now had the mysteries of Shan power, had another strong bargaining chip on her side. This greatly increased the chance of her coming to power. Feng Xianzi decided inside that even if he had to kidnap Xiao Mo Gu and bring him back to the Yao, he would do it. As though she could read Feng Xianzi's mind, Ming Yuyi said with a smile, "Do not feel urgent, the situation is very advantageous to us. The Mo Shan Temple is powerful, but their cultivation method has flaws." Ah! Feng Xianzi was shocked, but then he had a realization. I was wondering why they didn't take the chance to expand after killing the elders of Xian Kong Temple. So it is because their cultivation method has flaws. No wonder. Ming Yuyi's eyes flashed. She was like the crescent moon in the sky whose light caused the surrounding stars to lose color. Our cultivation method will not have this kind of flaw. Ming Yuyi's voice was filled with unquestionable confidence. We have time. Li Xian'er's expression was filled with shock. The paper crane in her hand seemed to burn her hand. A long time later, her shock slowly faded. She recovered her usual calm. A thread of fire came out of her hand and swallowed the paper crane. Watching as the paper crane in her hand turned to ash, Li Xian'er's mind was not as calm as her expression. It was just that the news that paper crane had delivered was too astonishing. Kunlun had already mastered Shan power. This was a great blow to her. When Xiao Mo Gu had used Shan power, everyone had marveled as spectators. However, when the Mo gods had massacred the elder core of Xian Kong Temple, people were shocked, and also realized a new era had arrived. But when she learned that Kunlun had already obtained Shan power, Li Xian'er felt as though there was a sword pointed at her back. She could clearly feel the cold bite. Only 3 of Tian Huan's Shan glyphs had been solved. The stable equilibrium of the 4 realms had turned to only Kunlun and Tian Huan with the collapse of Xian Kong Temple and the decline of Shi Xian. Always in history, an equilibrium could only be reached with 3 factions or more. If there were 2 factions, there was only one result: one would eventually swallow the other. What was terrible was that Kunlun was 1 step ahead. Grandpa's paper crane had been full of worry. He told her to do all she could to find a complete Shan power inheritance. Tian Huan was retreating on almost all fronts, all of their power put into the comprehension of Shan scripts. Shan power inheritance. Li Xian'er took a deep breath. Her mind was filled with these 3 words. The first thing she thought about was Xiao Mo Gu. She did not dare to provoke the Mo Shan Temple. They had easily killed the elite of Xian Kong Temple, and they would be able to do the same to Tian Huan. Up until now, the 3 people that everyone knew who had Shan power inheritances were all related to Xiao Mo Gu. Where did this damned Xiao Mo Gu run to? Zhuai Mo hid under the eaves and watched Li Xian'er in her room. His mind became alert. The other was a Xiuzhe. While he had felt that the other's presence was one that he had once knew, he had never thought the other was a Xiuzhe. It had to be said that Li Xian'er's disguise was very good. Because Zhuai Mo had not even thought about the possibility of Xiuzhe, he hadn't detected her at all. However, the flame in Li Xian Er's hand had revealed her identity. Tian Huan. Sui Mo was even more puzzled. Had he had some entanglement with Tian Huan before his memories had been erased and his appearance changed? Sui Mo shook his head. He felt that this was not as likely as Tian Huan using some secret method to spy on him. He and Tian Huan had been on bad terms for a long time. Maybe this girl had been hidden in some corner as an observer during his conflict against Tian Huan. That fight in the Sanshan temple had been so chaotic that Sui Mo wasn't sure if this girl had been present. If she was, then this feeling of familiarity could be explained. Li Xian Er's face was disguised and Sui Mo could not see her true face. This seemed to make his speculation more likely. Sui Mo did not stay and left silently. He carefully avoided the defenses and did not cause any trouble. He only sighed when he returned to his room. He had used everything he had recently learned in his sneaking just now, spells, MO skills, and Yao arts. All of them had been techniques in concealment. The effects were unimaginably good. Even Qinghua Shui outside the door hadn't detected anything. How come people from Tian Huan were together with Gongzi Shi? Sui Mo did not believe this was a coincidence at all. Was it? A daring idea rose out of his mind. The two were going to ally together. Once this idea came out, Sui Mo was almost certain he was right. Martial Di did qualify to ally with Tian Huan. This woman probably wasn't a normal Tian Huan disciple. Thinking about the feud he had with Tian Huan, Sui Mo smirked coldly inside. How could he pass on such a good chance to con Tian Huan? Chapter 706, The Mysterious Old Man. Put this matter to the side, Tang Chen said coolly after listening to the guard head's report. Patriarch. The guard leader could not stop himself from saying. Head's expression was indifferent as though this matter had nothing to do with him. Tang Chen glanced at his subordinate and said casually, after this is over, it is all right for you to kill everyone in the market, but before this, no one is allowed to offend Xiao Yunhai. Remember, no one. The guard leader's heart shook. Patriarch was an authoritative person, but he never spoke gravely. However, his authority was unquestionable. It was the first time he had such a harsh expression. The guard leader was both shocked and scared. There was also a thread of relief. It was fortunate that he had been the one hit. Otherwise, his head. Leave, Tang Chen said. Yes. The guard leader shrunk his head and retreated. When there were only two people left in the room, Tang Chen spoke with a frown. How did the Yao envoys get involved? Head shook his head and said gravely, it does not seem intentional. Unintentional? Tang Chen thought for a moment before saying, we cannot be careless. It is a pity that we were not able to discover the strength of Xiao Yunhai's mute servant. Unfathomable. A look flashed through Head's eyes. He wasn't able to fight back at all. If the guard leader was here, he would be gaping in shock. When he had been thrown out by a Gue, Head hadn't just been passing by in coincidence, but had seen the entire process. Were you able to discover their origins? Tang Chen asked, is she similar to one of the two women with Xiao Mo Gu? I could not see it. Head said, she is similar in style to the purple energy woman with Xiao Mo Gu, but she does not have purple energies. Also. He stopped. Also what? Tang Chen's eyes flashed as he asked urgently. The feeling she gives me is even more dangerous. When Head said this, he unconsciously balled his fists, tendons bulging. Tang Chen's expression changed. Head was his faithful and strongest expert. What Tang Chen trusted the most was his strength. Head cultivated the something from nothing spear, a top spear type MO skill. If it wasn't for the chance encounter where Tang Chen had saved Head's life, he definitely would not have been able to recruit such an expert. Head's strength could rival those top experts that had just risen to martial level. He was one of the trump cards in his hand. Tang Chen had deliberately arranged what had happened today. He was still full of suspicion about Xiao Yunhai's identity, but he hadn't expected the conclusion they reached to be so surprising. Head looked like a rough man, but being capable of cultivating the something from nothingness spear, meant his intuition was unusually sharp. If he said it was more dangerous, there was only one cause. The mute servant of Xiao Yunhai was even stronger than the Xiao Mo guess purple energy female. That wasn't possible. All of the Mo territories knew that Xiao Mo guess purple energy woman cultivated Shen power. A daring idea suddenly rose in Tang Chen's mind. Did Xiao Yunhai's mute servant also cultivate Shen power? He shook his head. Shen power was not so easy to obtain. He changed the subject. Have you found the use of the White Ridge snake bones? The White Ridge snake bones can be used to forge Mo weapons. That's not right. Tang Chen shook his head. Xiao Yunhai's other female servant has been in seclusion ever since they obtained the White Ridge snake bones. The news we found from Rare Artifacts Hall was that Xiao Yunhai only decided to buy the White Ridge snake bones because of this female servant in seclusion. The White Ridge snake bones definitely has an unknown use and is related to the seclusion of his female servant. Keep investigating. In the void, a Gui sat silently. The purple chains passed through her body. These purple chains were much thicker than the last time that had Mo saw them, and the light had become more understated. Exquisite black patterns had grown on the chains that were closest to her. Her eyes were closed, and there was a serene and content smile on her face. The nether reincarnation lotus was extraordinary in effect. Her soul had not withered and grown even more condensed. In this last while, she had continued to use her soul to nurture the undying Shen power. The undying Shen power was even stronger than before, and had changed as a result. The most visible effect was that the energy was not bright, and was now contained inside. The stronger undying Shen power restrained her even more completely. There was no light, no sound, no smell in this void of nothingness. This hopeless and insane void did not defeat this seemingly fragile young female. Since the time that her soul received nurturing, she knew that it was definitely young master that had helped her. Her serene heart had told her long ago that she was with young master. But the dots of light in the void made her suddenly realize she wasn't just with young master. Young master was working hard to save her. There was nothing that would motivate this young female more than this. Ever since then, there was always a warm sunny smile on her face. Maybe young master could see her. She wanted to use her smile to tell young master it wasn't painful at all, wasn't uncomfortable at all. Every bit of pain was the growth of Shen power. Shen power growing stronger meant she was able to protect young master. She was very happy. Under the bright smile, something was imperceptibly taking form inside her soul. Aheng woke up from his meditation and his restless heart finally stilled. Just as he had expected, the Tang family had a close relationship with Marshal D. Every time he requested to meet with Tang Chen, the servants would politely tell him the patriarch was busy and not present. Aheng understood what this meant. Before this, while Tang Chen had been ambiguous about an alliance, he had been polite to the Ji family. But his attitude was clear now. Aheng knew the alliance would not occur. The new orders from his family patriarch also came to him. There were two orders: damage the alliance between the Tang family and Marshal D, assassinate Xiao Yunhai but do not let the Tang family suspect the Ji family. Looking at the orders from the patriarch, Aheng grimaced. Any of the two was almost impossible to complete. The Tang family and Marshal D probably had allied together a long time ago, but people just didn't know about it. It also wasn't simple to kill Xiao Yunhai. The fight that had occurred at the market during the day had reached his ears a long time ago. Xiao Yunhai's mute servant's strength was unfathomable, and an extremely powerful young female Yao had also came out along the way. She had been able to fight to a tie with the head guard of the Tang family, her strength. Where female sidekicks starting come into style in the world. Xiao Mo Gu was like that, Xiao Yunhai was the same, but had even more, 3 of them. Suddenly, Aheng's mind moved. His expression darkened. Who? Before he finished speaking, his figure slowly became faint. At the same time, Aheng appeared outside his room. There was a paper gripped in his hand. His face was dark. Even now, his afterimage in the room had not disappeared. So fast. Aheng was astounded. From discovery to attack, the other had disappeared without a trace. He understood that the only reason he had sensed the intruder was that deliberate on the other's part. This thought caused his bones to shiver. This also meant that if the other tried to sneak an attack on him, he probably would not be able to avoid it. The person was incomprehensibly strong. Also, what did the other want? He looked in puzzlement at the paper and a joyful light quickly came into his eyes. Tian Huan. He hadn't thought that there would be disciples from Tian Huan in Gongzi Zai's group. He hadn't thought that Marshal D had a secret relationship with Tian Huan. Aheng almost wanted to roar with laughter. Ever since Xiao Mo Gu appeared, the general trend of events suggested that the Yao, Mo, and Xiao were merging together. Xiao Mo Gu was a Mo, and no one thought there was anything wrong for him to have Xiuzhe under his command. They would feel proud that Xiao Mo Gu were able to conquer Xiuzhe. Some of the wiser factions could see that the merging of the 3 would be unstoppable, but among the people, this was not common. The hatred between Yama and Xiuzhe would not be resolved so easily. In Aheng's view, the alliance of Marshal D and Tian Huan was a great move. But things like this could not be made public. Everyone could only have unspoken agreements in secret. Otherwise, when people discovered this, just the spit was enough to drown Marshal D. A cruel smile floated onto Aheng's lips. What he held in his hand was a fatal weapon. Suomo in disguise felt proud as he sneaked through the darkness. The Ji family wasn't a good one, but they had the power to make things difficult for Tian Huan. Even if they used just their toes, Suomo knew that the Ji family could destroy the alliance with what they had now. Let the dogs fight themselves. Suomo lacked good feelings about these people. After doing this devious thing, Suomo felt unspeakably comfortable. In such a good state, forging Mo weapons would be easy. At this time, Suomo suddenly stilled and his smugness disappeared. He was like a wild beast that felt danger and immediately entered his battle state. In the corner of the street, a figure slowly appeared. Your wariness isn't bad. The incomer praised. His figure was revealed in front of Suomo. An old man dressed in rags like a homeless man. His face was heavily wrinkled, his eyes muddy, and he had no presence. But Suomo did not dare to underestimate the other. The old man stood there casually, but he seemed to be one with the darkness around him. Suomo had never seen such a synchrony from other people, even in those so-called concealment experts. Who are you? Suomo asked. The old man looked with interest in Suomo. He grinned. You can call me old man, then he said in a familiar tone, your disguise isn't bad. Oh, your Sunshin power isn't bad. You really have good luck to have obtained the inheritance from the Sunshin tribe. Not bad at all. Who are you? Suomo was astounded. The other clearly knew that he was Xiao Mo Gu, and even discovered the Shin power he cultivated with a glance. The old man grinned to show a mouth of yellowed and missing teeth. Young person, you have to be patient. Where's your maid? The murderousness in Suomo's eyes were as sharp as swords. Chapter 707, Mysteries, Don't Be So Fierce. The old man seemed to not be affected by Suomo's killing intent at all. The wave of killing intent rushed at him and then would quickly dissipate. Suomo's gaze focused and his heart shook. The old man suddenly seemed to detect something and threw out, you have to be careful, many people have their eyes on you. In the next moment, his figure disappeared. Zhuo Mo stilled, but his expression changed slightly. At this time, he found that someone was coming close. This old man was really strong. He thought back to what the old man had just said. The other didn't seem to have malicious intent. As he thought, he silently left. He had scouted out the nearby area a few times before entering and was familiar with it. Pu Yao and Weiss' specialized cultivation was clearly effective. Even though Zhuo Mo was not a master at moving under concealment, he didn't have problems fooling average experts. When he returned to his residence, he was still thinking about that old man. Such a strong old man definitely wasn't some unknown figure. Yet what shocked Zhuo Mo was that he didn't even know what power the old man cultivated. What did the old man mean in his words? Many people had their eyes on him. This was clearly a reminder. Had he exposed himself somehow? Zhuo Mo shook his head. While he did not know the old man's intentions, the other's reminder did not seem to be baseless. The old man said, "Many people." That meant more than one. Why were those people keeping an eye on him? Earth MO weapons. This was the most likely guess. Earth MO weapons were the top MO weapon in the present MO territories, and there were naturally numerous people that wanted them. But Zhuo Mo, who had struggled on the border of life and death, had an unusually sensitive sense for danger. This most plausible cause was rejected first. Other than the Earth MO weapons, what could most likely attract attention was his identity as Xiao Mo Gu and the Shen power inheritance. If other people knew this, then it would be trouble. Zhuo Mo's brow furrowed, and then he put the problem to one side. He would not panic just because of some words from a strange old man. What he needed to do now was to forge a new Earth MO weapon. It was not an accidental idea when he thought of using Earth MO weapons to trade for the reverse shadow soul silkgrass. But now, he felt that this plan was far easier to realize than going to Nether Spring Jie himself. He was not an unknown person. No matter if it was Xiao Mo Gu or Xiao Yunhai, both had status. If he could make a new Earth MO weapon, there would be countless people that would search for reverse shadow soul silkgrass. The Earth MO weapon that was peerless in value in the eyes of many people was just an object to Zhuo Mo. It was profitable to trade it for reverse shadow soul silkgrass. If he, who had just forged the Sky Snake 10 manifestation spear, could forge a new Earth MO weapon, his fame would reach an unprecedented height. At that time, his promise would be enough to drive people mad. After organizing his thoughts, the shadow over Zhuo Mo's mind dissipated. Regardless if it was the old man or other people, his goal was the reverse shadow soul silkgrass. Other matters had nothing to do with him. He did not fear people finding him. In the dark of night, Tseng Lianer was dressed in bright red robes like a rose blooming in the night. Her movements were silent, and she didn't even cause a ripple in the air as she appeared like a ghost in front of Qinghua Shui. "Who are you? Why are you here?" Tseng Lianer who saw Qinghua Shui and asked serenely. Qinghua Shui felt her vision blur, and then a figure appeared without warning in front of her. Her expression changed slightly. She was astounded but kept her expression calm. She asked back, "Who are you?" Tseng Lianer's eyes became blurry like a mist that floated in. "Come in to talk." Zhuo Mo's voice suddenly came from the room. Tseng Lianer's figure immediately disappeared from her spot. Shock finally came onto Qinghua Shui's face. "This is Qinghua Shui, I defeated her in the past. She was in the Yao envoy and she recognized me, so I decided to have her follow me to prevent her from going out and talking," Zhuo Mo explained. Other people would not know, but he was clear that Tseng Lianer really intended to kill her just now. If he had been a moment later in speaking, Qinghua Shui would probably be a corpse right now. "I would not squabble with a little girl." An imperceptible smile flashed across Tseng Lianer's mouth. She spun, the long red dress blossoming as she elegantly sat in front of Zhuo Mo. Tseng Lianer was elegant and graceful in everything she did, as though it was innate to her. A country bumpkin like himself could not copy it. Zhuo Mo shook his head and threw this hilarious thought away. He then asked in concern, "How is it?" "Success," Tsing Lianer said without any modesty. Her smile was like a flower, bright and eye-catching. "My bloodline has been perfected, and this would be of great benefit to my future cultivation. My Shen power has grown by half." Suo Mo's expression changed. For Mo, their bloodline was the core of their power, and the spring of all their power. Reinforcing their core was tempting for every cultivator, and Suo Mo gaped at her Shen power growing by half. Even with his right hand that seemed to be a little Shen crystal, he would need about a year to grow half of his Shen power without any other assistance. Worth. So worth it. Suo Mo couldn't help but say excitedly. Tsing Lianer gave a small smile. Her eyes that seemed to forever be shrouded in mist flashed with emotion. Of course it was worth it. But what had been traded was an Earth Mo weapon. When she had heard that it would take an Earth Mo weapon, Tsing Lianer had given up on that set of white ridge snake bones. That price was not something that she could afford. Even her father Tsing Yi, who was a Jia master, would not be able to pay such a price. The person in front of her did not hesitate. This had nothing to do with love between man and woman. She suddenly understood why there would always be astounding geniuses gathered around Suo Mo Wei Sheng, Gongsun Cha, Bi Han. Any of these people alone was a star, a blinding existence, but these outstanding geniuses were gathered closely around Suo Mo. And for him, they were willing to die. Suo Mo did not notice Tsing Lianer's emotions. It was hard to disguise the joy on his face. "Great! You have come out of seclusion so I can rest my worries and forge Earth Mo weapons." Forge Earth Mo weapons. Tsing Lianer had been in seclusion ever since she had gotten the White Ridge snake bones. She didn't know anything about what had happened. When she heard that Suo Mo said he was going to forge Earth Mo weapons again, she couldn't help but be shocked. "Yes." Suo Mo nodded. He grinned and said, "I thought of a wonderful idea. Use Earth Mo weapons to trade for reverse shadow soul silkgrass. This way, we don't have to go to Nether Springs Jia. Trade Earth Mo weapons for reverse shadow soul silkgrass." Tsing Lianer was stunned. She suspected that something was wrong with her hearing. "Do we have other Earth Mo weapons?" Looking at the shock on Tsing Lianer's face, Suo Mo was proud. He said with a snicker, "We can make more." Tsing Lianer was speechless. A moment later, her mouth turned into a smile. Suo Mo's tone was casual when he spoke about forging Earth Mo weapons. While she was shocked, she did not doubt that Suo Mo could accomplish this. Her gaze silently landed on Ague. For some reason, a serene sigh sounded inside her, like a wisp of mist rising up and covering her eyes. "When are you going to start?" She smiled. "Since you are out of seclusion, then there is no time today." Suo Mo's smile disappeared. His expression was solemn as he said, "Tomorrow. I'm very disappointed that the brutish bull didn't dare to fight me last time I visited." The old man grinned, his gaping mouth full of yellow teeth hard to look at. An youth appeared nearby, his tight clothing emphasizing the tall figure of the youth. He was lying in the air as though there was an invisible chair behind him. Half of his body was curled up in this invisible chair and his position looked strange. One hand was holding a plate piled high with blood grapes. The other hand was throwing blood grapes idly into his mouth. "I wouldn't dare to fight Elder. I have come to eat and play." The youth said through a full mouth. However, second brother failed since Elder protected Xiao Mo Go last time. "This time, you seem to be interested in Xiao Yunhai. Elder, leave us a path." "Xiao Yunhai. Haven't you come for Xiao Mo Go?" The old man picked at his ear. "While I am old, and my hearing isn't as good, I am not immune to the nagging. Xiao Yunhai is the crux to finding Xiao Mo Go. My ears are getting calluses from hearing this." Hey, Elder, don't speak so straightforwardly. Let's discuss. Why are you squabbling with us juniors?" Elders, name a price. The youth's tone was fast but his hands were even quicker, yet the grapes on the plate seemed to be endless. The old man looked dryly at the youth. The Emotion Temple have really set their hearts this time. So. The youth laughed. Elder, you know that we are poor, don't have anything good. Don't ask too high of a price. Don't be modest. If I remember correctly, that scab fragrance tree in your temple should be starting to scab now. This old man doesn't want a lot. 5. The old man showed his yellowed teeth again with unscrupulousness. The youth's body imperceptibly froze. A cold rush rose. The scab fragrance was one of the core secrets in the Emotion Temple. It was planted in a restricted part of the temple. Even the guards of the temple did not know of it. But this dirty old man knew it. Elder, you really are wise and powerful. However, only 5 were produced, if you take all of them. The old man snickered. TSK, 5. How come I heard it was 11? The youth's back immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He stared at the old man with a sharp gaze and said in a cold voice, Elder, who are you? Chapter 708, Explosive Weapon Style. 1. It is not important who I am. The old man gave an honest-looking smile. The youth was like a coiled snake ready to strike. His muscles were tensed for him to leap at any moment, and was filled with danger. The smile on the old man's face did not change. A moment later, the youth suddenly relaxed and then lazily curled back into the empty space. 2. At most 20, the youth picked up a blood grape and threw it into his mouth. He said around the grape, if you can give Xiao Mo Gu to us, we can give you all of them. The old man chuckled. 2 is fine. However, before Xiao Mo Gu appears, you have to protect Xiao Yunhai. Elder, you care a lot about Xiao Yunhai. The youth said meaningfully. Of course, he is someone that can forge Sky Missouri weapons. This old man still hopes to get a Sky Missouri weapon to play with in this lifetime, the old man said directly. Sky Missouri weapon? The youth stilled with a doubtful face. Really? He just managed an Earth MO weapon. Just watch. The old man waved his hand with confidence on his face. The doubt on the youth's face did not fade. He felt that the old man's goal was not so simple, but he couldn't see it from the other's face. Sui Mo did not know the situation outside. He was staying in the MO weapon pool and was focused on forging Earth MO weapons. Looking at the scraps of MO weapons in the pool, he shook his head and grimaced, this weapon layering craftsmanship doesn't succeed every time. I really had good luck last time. Each failure would waste 10 general-level MO weapons. After a few failures, the number of general-level MO weapons Sui Mo possess had dramatically decreased. Sui Mo's heart bled at such a terrible waste. Sui Mo thought that he had already mastered the weapon layering craftsmanship, but with every MO weapon layer, the difficulty would multiply. When the time for the 5th weapon to be merged together, the MO weapon would become extremely unstable and the possibility of failure would suddenly increase. Even a skilled MO weapon master like Sui Mo didn't have a solution. Earth MO weapons required at least 10 general-level MO weapons, and not one less. After losing dozens of general MO weapons, Sui Mo couldn't tolerate this kind of loss. Each general MO weapon was over 3 million mabe. In other words, Sui Mo's losses had reached upwards of 1 billion mabe. If it was one of the great families, they may not care, but Sui Mo felt great pain. Of course, what do you think Earth MO weapons are? Pu Yao said dismissively. Sui Mo stilled. He sank into thought. Ever since he forged the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike, he thought he had grasped the secrets of Earth MO weapon. He had been filled with confidence about forging new Earth MO weapons, but the results were completely different than what he had predicted. After losing nearly 1 billion mabe, Sui Mo had to rethink. The weapon layering craftsmanship was a simple method, but it was not one that could reliably produce weapons. Mo suddenly found that he had entered a wrong path, and had relied too much on the weapon layering craftsmanship. Mo weapons and talismans were completely different in the minds of other people, but in Mo's eyes, there were no innate differences. One was just Mo matrices, and the other seal scripts. Earth Mo weapons that were the top of Mo weapons had a common trait. They could completely express some hidden power of bloodlines. This was also why Earth Mo weapons were so valuable. Its core was Mo matrices. Thinking back to what he had learned, countless Mo matrices flashed across his mind. Mo's gaze slowly became bright. His eyes were like stars in the night. Mo matrices that could awaken the bloodline were all powerful. They were usually Mo matrices that were already formed as part of top-level materials. Normal Mo weapon masters just activated these hidden Mo matrices. But Mo had a deeper understanding of Mo matrices. He knew that Mo matrices could be inscribed like seal scripts. Inscribing Mo matrices had been one of his old jobs. Then the next question was what could be used to hold the Mo matrices. Only strong materials could tolerate such powerful Mo matrices. Normal Mo weapon masters could only use those worldly treasures, but Mo had a wonderful idea. Weapon layering craftsmanship. The stability of the weapon layering craftsmanship would drastically decrease after the fifth Mo weapon, but before this, Mo's precise control would guarantee that it would not fail. Mo's weapon layering craftsmanship had all failed after the sixth merge. A Mo weapon after 5 merges would not have the power of an Earth Mo weapon, but it could act to hold the Mo matrices. General level Mo weapons were valuable, but they were extremely cheap compared to those worldly treasures. Even more importantly, this method would allow Mo could endlessly produce Earth Mo weapons. Inspiration flooded him. He thought of the water forging method, thought of how to unite seal scripts, thought of Mo sat next to the Mo weapon pool, day after day, and completely lost in himself in thought like a statue. Mo did not move for 5 whole days. On the 6th day, his body suddenly shook and he seemed to wake from a deep sleep. Awake, Mo's eyes were as bright as stars. He walked around in the Mo weapon pool in circles. On the 5th circuit, he suddenly stopped. He took out a pile of materials from his ring and started to forge using the Sunshin fire. The black ore quickly turned to metal liquid in the Sunshin fire. The fire flickered as though it was alive. Mo's fingers flew. Streaks of light entered the liquid metal in the fire like birds returning to the nest. Clink clink clink. Small black nails dropped from the flame and landed on the ground, giving off ringing sounds. The black nails were about 3 cun long and covered in Mo matrices. A smile appeared on Mo's face. This was the first time he used the ways of forging talismans to set up Mo matrices. The results were better than he had expected. This method was possible. Mo's face flushed in excitement. He flew into the air above the Mo weapon pool. The black nails in the air entered the empty space around the Mo weapon pool accurately. Then lights of different colors fell from his hands. These lights disappeared when they reached the ground, but there would be faint lines left in the earth. As the lights continued to land, the lines around the Mo weapon pool increased. If Mo weapon masters were present, they would find to their surprise that these lines seemed to resemble Mo matrices that they knew. However, these Mo matrices were modified from the ones they usually saw. No one would think that Mo would use the structure of seal scripts to set up Mo matrices. The lines increased in number and the Mo matrices became even more complex. The silent Mo weapon pool started to grow restless, boiling and roiling. Countless icy underflows deep in the underground Nether River were like sharks that smelt blood and furiously flooded towards the heaven-tier Mo weapon pool. These icy undercurrents were the best for forging Mo weapons. However, they mostly existed deep in the river and were hard to obtain. They were also extremely icy. Disregarding how hard they were to control, those that were weak in MO skills would turn to ice statues if the cold energy entered their bodies. Due to this, even though people knew that these icy undercurrents were very suited to forging MO weapons, no one dared to use them. Sui Mo did not fear them. He continued to cast light energies. As the cold flows entered, the restless MO weapon pool quickly calmed down. Threads of cold energy rose from the surface of the pool. Icy frost spread on the ground in all directions. But when the frost went near the MO matrices, they would quickly melt and evaporate. The MO weapon pool that had originally been black was now a transparent blue. There wasn't any impurities. The undercurrents were like tiny little nimble fish that swam around the pool and caused ripples on the surface. Countless undercurrents moved around. Countless ripples were produced in the clear pool, which was dazzling to see. Sui Mo finally showed satisfaction. He had used a water seal formation and MO matrices on the MO weapon pool to take the icy undercurrents of the river and create a MO weapon pool of an unprecedented level. The icy energy of the MO weapon pool did not affect Sui Mo at all. Sui Mo took out a general level MO weapon, and then another, and then more. Moments later, there was a pile of general level MO weapons in front of him. If the chief steward of Rare Artifacts Hall saw this, his eyes would probably drop to the floor. Even the Rare Artifacts Hall would definitely be unable to produce so many general level MO weapons immediately. He did any inventor. There were more than 60 articles. Sui Mo picked and chose 60. His expression was excited, and inspiration swirled in his mind. Countless strange plans floated in his mind, and he wanted to immediately try all of them. Looking at the 60 general level MO weapons in front of him, an unprecedented and made idea suddenly rose. Once this idea came out, he could not suppress it. Just having had made a breakthrough, Sui Mo's entire mind was completely taken over by his inspiration. He felt as though his mind had never been so clear and sensitive. Once a thought rose, his mind seemed to be able to automatically perfect the plan. There wasn't any hardship or delay. The pleasure from this made him so excited he almost wanted to groan. Without any hesitation, he listed all the materials he needed at an astounding efficiency and threw it to Bean Sprout that had been standing by the door. He did not stop. He started to forge. MO weapons were being thrown into the pool. Bean Sprout had been standing by the door and was so bored that he almost fell asleep. He was standing by the door and waiting in the case Grandmaster had any errands for him to run. He had been very excited to have gotten this duty. He had tried to be alert and waited for Grandmaster to order him at any moment. Yet his MO physique was very weak and he was not mentally strong. After waiting for 3 days, he was unable to hold up. He had withered like a tomato after the frost and yawned continuously. Suddenly, a light flew from inside and landed in his arms. Bean Sprout immediately shook and hurriedly climbed up. Grandmaster definitely had work for him. When he saw it was a list that had flown into his arms, he understood immediately that Grandmaster required some materials. He became alert. Grandmaster had already spoken with Rare Artifacts Hall. He could go and take any materials that were needed. If it was low-level materials, he would go to the city market. But when Bean Sprout's gaze swept across the list, he turned to stone, his mouth wide open and gaping. Chapter 709, Explosive Weapon Style, 2, Rare Artifacts Hall. The middle-aged Mo looked at the list in his hand as though he wanted to find something. He was speechless momentarily. Bean Sprout was urgently waiting for his response. It would be terrible if he was unable to complete the first task that Grandmaster had given to him. However, he also knew the shock that this list gave people. There was an astounding number requested of each item on the packed list. It was enough to cause people's hearts to beat rapidly. He had delivered the list anxiously. He felt it was very unlikely that Rare Artifacts Hall would agree. There were many valuable materials on the list, and when they were gathered together, it was a great number. No one would be able to easily maintain their composure at such a list. You are sure Grandmaster requested this? The middle-aged Mo looked with slight suspicion at Bean Sprout. If it wasn't for the fact that they had reached an agreement with Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai before this, he would have suspected that Bean Sprout fabricated the list and wanted to take these materials and run. It was not that the materials themselves were too valuable and rare, but there were too many of each material requested. There weren't just a variety of types, the amount of each material was astoundingly large. As the chief steward of Rare Artifacts Hall, the middle-aged Mo was not skilled in forging Mo weapons, but he had basic knowledge of the field. The materials on this list was enough to forge enough Mo weapons for a troop of over 100. What did Grandmaster want to do? Was so much material needed to forge one Earth Mo weapon? This was so strange. So unconventional. The amount of materials used far surpassed his knowledge. Maybe Grandmaster was doing an experiment. This thought caused the middle-aged Mo to relax. Mo weapon masters would frequently try out different forging methods, and some Mo weapon masters preferred to test their new inspirations. This was undoubtedly a course of action that would burn through the most resources, but this kind of mob-wasting action was appropriate for their status and identity. Grandmaster definitely had some new inspiration. All of the materials were the preparations in order to test out his new ideas. It was definitely that. The middle-aged Mo sighed in relief. He was a decisive person. After the initial shock, he quickly found a realistic explanation for Xiao Yunhai's request. Once he found this reason, this list seemed reasonable. While the materials listed represented a great number, a Grandmaster would qualify to guarantee this. Also, the middle-aged Mo thought that if a Mo weapon Grandmaster had new ideas, this meant that the possibility of forging a new Earth Mo weapon was higher. After thinking for a moment, the middle-aged Mo quickly made a decision. There are many materials here that this store doesn't have and I will need to request them from other branch stores. It will take a few days. 3 days from now, the materials will be delivered to Grandmaster's Mo weapon pool. Bean Sprout actually stilled. The other had really agreed. For the first time, Bean Sprout had experienced the power of the word Grandmaster. Without the residents of Buzhou City realizing it, many unfamiliar outsiders had appeared around the city. These people did not look friendly. They gave off a feeling of danger, and their gazes were always wary. The arrival of these people tested the public peace of Buzhou City. Small-scale fights occurred on successively days. Yet what shocked people was that the Tang family that was responsible for order in Buzhou City was left on the losing side. This caused the state of Buzhou City's peace to worsen. The Tang family patriarch was furious after learning this, and moved the strongest battalion of the Tang family, the Tang 1 Battalion, near Buzhou City. They quickly captured more than a dozen of the culprits and the heads of these people were hung above the city gates as a warning. Such vicious moves immediately intimidated many of those with devious intentions. But as more and more experts came, the Tang family's nerves became tense. If they were careless, and caused a conflict, it could cause much of Buzhou City to be destroyed in fighting. This loss was not something the Tang family could afford. Soon, a strange rumor gradually spread. The rumor said that Marshal D was about to ally with Tian Huan by marriage with Gongzi Shi. There was even a rumor that Gongzi Shi already had an important Tian Huan female serving him. In a short few days, the rumors spread quickly. By the time Tang Chen learned of this, the entire city knew. Someone is spreading this from the shadows. Gongzi Zai's handsome face was dark. He said coldly, this rumor did not come early or late, but at such a sensitive time, their intentions are not friendly. Who also knows the identity of Miss Xian? Tang Chen's expression was normal and no emotion could be seen. Only my personal guards. Gongzi Zai's tone was bitter as he said awkwardly. Other than his personal guards, no one knew Li Xian's identity. There definitely was a traitor. Murderousness flashed through Gongzi Zai's eyes. Tang Chen noticed the murderousness that flickered through Gongzi's eyes and did not say more. He said after a moment, "Virtuous nephew, do not pay attention to the gossip. Try to not go out. The people outside the city are suspect, and have other aims. We need to deal with them carefully." "Gongzi," she said respectfully. "Uncle, do not worry, this nephew knows what is important. Uncle Zhong and Uncle Qin will come in the next few days. With them are 200 general elite, and they are all guards that have followed my father Marshal for many years." Tang Chen became alert when he heard this. "They have come at a good time. Well, let these people be free for a few more days." The two exchanged a smile, and their worried expressions disappeared. The situation of Buzhou City became even stranger. The rumors still spread, but Gongzi Shi, who was the focus of the rumor, did not come out in public. No faction had expressed any opinion about this matter. The rumor seemed to lose steam. People's eyes turned more towards the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool in the underground Nether River. Countless eyes stared at the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool. In the past, only Mo weapon masters would come to the underground Nether River. Now, there were Mo everywhere. They would glance occasionally across the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool and then casually chat. "There isn't any noise, it really is boring to watch." "Yes, yes. What Earth Mo weapon, he can really boast. He conned us all here, but he hasn't made a peep. Ah, let's wait a bit more. Is an Earth Mo weapon so easy to forge? We can only wait." Suddenly, they noticed the sound of chatting around them quieted. They stopped their discussion, instinctively raised their heads and were stunned. An enormous Mo steed troop appeared in their field of view in the sky. The riders of these Mo steeds were all tired and dirty. They clearly had just endured a long journey. However, what was most attention-catching was the astoundingly large number of boxes on the Mo steeds' backs. Each box was more than 1 zhang in all 3 of its dimensions. People who had stayed for a long time in Buzhou City immediately recognized the origins of these Mo steeds. "It's Rare Artifacts Hall." Heavens! Rare Artifacts Hall. Gasps rose. People's gazes were filled with shock. There were more than 500 Mo steeds in this troop and more than 300 guards. They were travel-worn, but their presence was controlled. Their casual glances would give people great pressure. Elite. 300 elite. Hiss, many people inhaled in shock. Anyone with a small amount of knowledge would know that the things that were protected by such elite guards were definitely astounding in value. They then looked at the enormous boxes on the backs of the 200 or so Mo steeds. Many people's gazes heated up. But those with more knowledge looked at the boxes of different colors mixed within the 200 large boxes. These metal boxes of different colors took up 1/3 of the total number. They knew that these boxes were of the highest value. The boxes possessed special characteristics, such as thermal regulation, and were used to hold materials with special qualities. Such an astounding amount of materials was a great amount of wealth. Heavy breathing rose in the corners. The gazes that crossed in the air burned with greed. The captain of the Mo steed guards was like a metal tower. His expression was cold, his upper body was bare and covered in crisscrossing scars. He noticed the greedy gazes in the surroundings. His expression turned cold and he snorted. It was like thunder rolling across the air. Countless people seemed to be struck by lightning, showed shock, and all of their desires were swept away. The other guards acted as though nothing had happened. The troop stopped outside the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool. A steward got off the Mo steed and bowed towards Bean Sprout. He said as though relieved of a great burden. "The road was long, but we did not fail. Rare Artifacts Hall has brought all that Grandmaster requested, please inspect and accept." The guards took the metal boxes off the Mo steeds and put them onto the empty ground in front of Bean Sprout. The boxes were opened. When the materials of 200 large metal boxes were put together, it was like an enormous mountain. The rare materials released all kinds of colored light. The scene was spectacular. The power that the materials had even formed a small twister. Countless people were stunned by this scene. The underground nether river was deathly silent. Bean Sprout swallowed. He was also greatly shocked by the mountain of materials in front of him, but he was mentally prepared. He still remembered his own mission. He started to inventory the materials. The list that Grandmaster had given had precise numbers, and he did not want any mistakes on his part. The crowd seemed to wake up and then exploded. Heavens! So materials. They didn't all understand Earth MO weapon crafting, but this was the underground nether river. There were many MO weapon masters. Some experienced MO weapon masters quickly made precise estimates. These materials would be enough to forge 200 top-level colonel-level MO weapons, or 20 good quality general-level MO weapons. Just the estimated value of the materials was 2 billion mabe. Some people finally recalled that the rumor was that Xiao Yunhai had reached an agreement with Rare Artifacts Hall for them to supply materials. But no one had expected that Xiao Yunhai would demand such an amount of materials, and Rare Artifacts Hall would actually give them to him. 2 billion mabe. What did Xiao Yunhai want to do? Was Rare Artifacts Hall insane as well? Chapter 710, Explosive Weapon Style, 3, The mountain of materials that was worth a substantial amount was piled outside the Heaven Tier MO weapon pool. The light that they gave off illuminated the entire underground nether river. Every person who saw this spectacular scene would unconsciously stop breathing. All of Buzhou City was left stunned. Countless people fought to enter the underground nether river to see this rare sight. The underground nether river that was usually quiet and sparsely populated was filled with people. The light given off by 2 billion mabe caused gasps. There were also those that tried to sneak their way in among the chaotic crowded, but the 300 guards of Rare Artifacts Hall were on their guard. These guards had cold expressions, and gave off dangerous auras. Those with some experience were all able to see that they were all elite forces. Also, when Tang Chen heard the news, he also sent a troop out to help with security. Facing such a tight guard, those with greedy desires could only stare. News of this event quickly spread, and caused a heated discussion in the MO territories. The great majority of people saw this and treated it as a joke. In the eyes of the majority, Xiao Yunhai announcing in a flamboyant manner that he was going to forge a new Earth MO weapon was because he didn't know his own limits. Now, he had made such a great ruckus. Many people who had been neutral before didn't have a good impression of him now. Yet no one had expected that the participation of two people caused the matter to reach a new climax. MO Weapon Grandmaster Bo Qing and MO Weapon Grandmaster Yan Man. Unlike Xiao Yunhai who had just become famous, these two grandmasters had a great amount of experience. They were some of the top grandmasters of the present era, and the idols of countless MO weapon masters, especially Grandmaster Bo Qing. He was one of the only 3 grandmasters who had forged 2 Earth MO weapons among all the MO weapon grandmasters. He had absolute authority in the field of MO weapon forging. The 2 grandmasters were the founders of the MO Weapon Master Association, and their statuses were high. I have never thought that there would be a MO weapon grandmaster that would dare claim something so shocking. Yes, he forged an Earth MO weapon. When considering his age, this is a proud accomplishment, but I want to say that young people have to keep their feet on the ground. Earth MO weapons are the pinnacle of MO weapons, their worth far surpasses your imagination. Do not think that just because you were lucky to forge one Earth MO weapon that you have reached the end of that world. Also, as a MO weapon master, you are clownish in your actions to attract attention, and humiliate the prestige of MO weapon master. Grandmaster Yan Man's tone was strong, his expression filled with dislike, and his words were not polite. Grandmaster Bo Qing An's tone was much calmer, but his words were also more careful. I saw this list of materials he requested, and there are many materials that are unexpected to me. He may have some novel ideas, but I have to say that with just these materials, he cannot forge an Earth MO weapon. A skilled MO weapon grandmaster can turn normal materials into great MO weapons, but this does not mean that all materials can be used to forge Earth MO weapons. The words of the two MO weapon masters quickly spread. There had been arguments, but it immediately became one-sided. In the attacks, Xiao Yunhai was like a clown. The only result would be humiliating himself. People even started to suspect that the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike was not an Earth MO weapon. That was just a con that Rare Artifacts Hall and Xiao Yunhai had made up. The situation is not very good. The manager's expression was calm, but his eyes were panicked. Oh. The middle-aged MO idly savored his tea with a calm expression. How bad is it? There are many guests that have sent messages inquiring about this matter. There were a few large orders about to be confirmed, but the customers have stopped. They clearly are doubtful, the manager reported in a small voice. Oh, what else is there, report it all together, the middle-aged MO said with a small smile. As of last night, 15 MO weapon masters have quit. The MO Weapon Master Association has called them into question. The manager's tone started to turn panicked. The smile on the middle-aged MO's face disappeared. He straightened and said in a deep voice, "Why is the MO Weapon Master Association interfering? It probably due to Bo Qing'an and Yen Man's attitudes. The other MO Weapon Masters are not resolute, and if it wasn't for the fact that we treated them well over the years, more of them would have left." The manager looked carefully at the middle-aged MO. The middle-aged MO was silent. In their infancy, the MO Weapon Master Association had just been a loose network that was started by a few MO weapon grandmasters. With grandmasters leading the way, they constructed a complete and detailed categorization system for weapons and provided numerous services. They would exchange ideas at regular intervals and hold classes. They would provide members with a variety of materials at low prices, help the members sell the MO weapons they had forged and so on. With these actions, the MO Weapon Master Association quickly grew and recruited more members. The evaluations of the association were highly trusted and accepted by all factions. The association quickly grew into a powerful organization. They now controlled almost a half of the high-level MO weapon market. This was a terrifying number, and even more terrifying was their unparalleled influence on MO weapon masters. For a business, the loss of a few orders wasn't a big problem. However, the loss of large numbers of MO weapon masters was enough to hurt their foundation. If a business did not have a steady source of wares, it would greatly affect their reputation and credit. So the middle-aged MO was unable to sit still when he heard about the loss of the MO weapon masters. The middle-aged MO's expression changed. He hadn't thought the MO Weapon Master Association would interfere. The departure of these MO weapon masters was clearly due to the machinations of the MO Weapon Master Association. He knew why this was. They attacked Xiao Yunhai because Xiao Yunhai wasn't a member of the MO Weapon Master Association. The way that the MO Weapon Master Association acted now was different than at the beginning. Because of the great profits they enjoyed, they tried to do all they could to recruit more MO weapon masters, and the MO weapon masters with talent but were not willing to enter the association would be suppressed both openly and in secret. This wasn't news. All the factions were increasingly wary of the MO Weapon Master Association. However, those with power would nurture their own MO weapon masters. However, not every faction had a MO weapon grandmaster. If Xiao Yunhai really could forge a new Earth MO weapon, he would immediately enter the ranks of the greatest MO weapon masters. If one considered his age, his potential was unlimited. His fame would immediately surpass the grandmasters of the association. It had been many years since a new MO weapon grandmaster had appeared. This Xiao Yunhai who suddenly came out probably caused the grandmasters of the MO Weapon Master Association to feel threatened. A cold smirk rose on the middle-aged MO's lips. Rare Artifacts Hall never skimped on their dues to the MO Weapon Master Association, and he hadn't thought that the association wouldn't even speak to them before directly attacking them. Those grandmasters have fallen due to the temptation of the Mabe. In just a few moments, the middle-aged Mo calculated the losses and gains. If he submitted to the Mo Weapon Master Association, while he could gain some short-time benefit, but he would be controlled by the other in the future. Rather than so, it was better to gamble on Xiao Yunhai. Go, send another portion of items on that list to Xiao Yunhai, the middle-aged Mo said coldly. The manager jumped. But Grandmaster Xiao probably doesn't need. Then just add it to the pile there. The middle-aged Mo said coldly, go tell the child that Grandmaster Xiao took in, he's called Bean Sprout, have him tell Grandmaster to request whatever materials he needs. If our rare artifacts hall have them, then we will give them to him. The manager just prepared to acknowledge with a wildly beating heart when the middle-aged Mo's tone changed. No, wait. The manager relaxed slightly. Darren had not lost his mind yet. Also tell the branch stores. Every store will pick 3 of their top materials and send it with their best guards. When they arrive, pile them in front of the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool. Tell Grandmaster he can use them as he pleases. I only have one request, he has to forge an Earth Mo weapon. The middle-aged Mo gritted his teeth. That composed face was filled with murderousness. Due to the matters of Rare Artifacts Hall, the rumors about Gongzi Shi in Buzhou City cooled down. Old Zhong. Old Qin. Tang Chen was overjoyed when he saw the people who had come. You are still like before. Zhong Wentian looked at Tang Chen and a hint of excitement flashed through his eyes. No one knew that they had met each other in youth, traveled together and fought together. They had formed a close relationship. Qin Min was also smiling as he said happily, other than Marshal D, everyone is here. His voice was soft, and he was also very handsome. The reunion of old friends stirred emotions and nostalgia. Moments later, they sat down. Gongzi Shi respectfully sat at the end. Zhong Wentian and Qin Ming were subordinates of Marshal D, but Marshal D treated them like brothers. Gongzi Shi also grew up under their eyes, and they were even closer than normal uncles and nephews. Suddenly, the chief steward of the Tang family walked hurriedly in and whispered at Tang Chen's ear. A look flashed across Tang Chen's face. Seeing the other people look at him, he explained, Rare Artifacts Hall and the Mo Weapon Master Association have started to fight. Mo Weapon Master Association. Qin Ming's eyes turned icy, and his soft voice was murderousness. They aren't good. Tang Chen stilled. What? Did you have a fight with them? It isn't anything major. Qin Ming waved his hand and said unconcernedly. Once, we urgently needed some Mo weapons. They asked for a great price, and wanted us to trade using Mo weapon masters. We naturally were not willing. Then they tried to sabotage us in secret, forcing no other families to dare to sell to us. And then? Tang Chen asked curiously. Haha. Then old Zhong went to them and killed 12 general levels before they were frightened and sold the Mo weapons to us, Qin Ming said with a smile. Zhong Wentian laughed. Tang Chen's expression changed. At this time, there was a ruckus outside. Chapter 711, The Continuation of the Explosive Weapon Style. 1. Idiot, you dare to fight against our Mo Weapon Master Association, you don't want to live. A blue-eyed male within the crowd hatefully spat out. He doesn't know what is good for him. If he works with us, he gets what he wants. It is a pity that our people didn't even manage to meet with him. It would have been fine if he was low-key, but he had to say that he was going to forge a second Earth Mo weapon. We would be completely stupid not to use such an opportunity that was gifted to us, a golden-haired male said. I really want to see the expression of Rare Artifacts Hall tomorrow. The blue-eyed male laughed darkly. The big ship is about to sink, who is willing to go down with it? When Rare Artifacts Hall find that they have less than half of its MO weapon masters, wouldn't they regret it? Ha! A harsh punishment will show our power, the golden-haired male said with a smug laugh. Suddenly, gasp rang out along the street. The duo heard the shouts of Rare Artifacts Hall. The two exchanged a look and flew into the sky without any hesitation. In the sky, a troop of about 50 MO steeds was coming towards Buzhou City at top speed. Under the gates, the manager of Rare Artifacts Hall, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately flew into the sky. He bowed towards the MO steed troop and his expression was solemn. This one is the local manager, Qian Duo. Everyone, you have worked hard. Which store are you from? From Flower Mile Jie. The large man at the front bowed slightly with a cool expression. He was carrying a dark gold box on his back that was adorned with exquisite Mo matrices. While the group of 50 had traveled a long way, and were covered in dust, their power could not be disguised. Qian Duo did not waste words. He said with a solemn expression, "Please come with me." The large man did not hesitate and followed first. The group silently followed Qian Duo. They moved in the direction of the entrance to the underground Nether River. Discussion rose in the surroundings. People's gazes were fixed on the dark gold box on the back of the troop leader. Those with some experience knew that boxes of this kind were expensive to make, and were usually used to hold some peerlessly rare materials. Had Xiao Yunhai requested some special materials again? People discussed in curiosity. Everyone had a feeling that this matter was going to change again. In the crowd, the two from the MO Weapon Master Association looked at each other. They also had a bad feeling. Some people were preparing to see what was happening at the underground Nether River while others prepared to leave. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Look!" Another small group appeared over the horizon. A similarly strong group of guards, the same dark gold box. They entered the underground Nether River just like the previous one. In the following time, people gaped. Small groups from Rare Artifact Hall continued to arrive over the horizon. Elite guards, dark gold boxes. These little groups from Rare Artifact Hall all had solemn expressions. They flowed into the city, and their target was the underground Nether River. Even the stupidest person knew that something amazing was happening right now. Many people immediately ran for the underground Nether River to see. When people arrive at the underground Nether River, they were dumbstruck by what they saw. Dozens of dark gold boxes were neatly placed on the ground. All of the boxes were opened, each flashed with bright light like fire burning in the darkness. They illuminated the dim underground Nether River as though it was daylight. It was the blinding light that belonged to the top materials. The unique ripples were like the heartbeat of wild beasts that filled the entire underground Nether River. The 2 billion mobe of materials had only caused people to sigh over the enormous amount of wealth. But every dark gold box and any of the materials in them caused people to become breathless. The great majority of people didn't recognize even one, but they knew that these were all top materials, the top materials that existed in legends. Yes, in legends, this word caused these lights and vibrations to become untouchable. People were not as excited, they fell silent. The light and vibrations that these materials gave off were like those solemn and powerful elite guards. They emanated their power without any disguise. People were always greedy and hungry for wealth, but they were always filled with respect and awe towards great power. The people who had been restless seeing the growing number of elite guards were completely calmed down now. The desire in their eyes suddenly disappeared. Rare Artifact Hall dared to put these materials that were worth entire cities in public view. This meant that they had absolute confidence they would be able to protect them. Those that knew more finally remembered at this time that Rare Artifacts Hall had a history of millennia. The number of dark gold boxes continued to increase. The light continued to grow brighter. Even the slowest person now understood that Rare Artifacts Hall was showing its power. Why would Rare Artifacts Hall show their power without any reservation at such a sensitive time? No matter what was going on behind the scene at this time, it was the first time that top materials had been displayed like this in all of the MO territories. Large numbers of MO weapon masters came. Each of these top materials were worth cities, and it was rare for them to see them as well. The underground nether river of Buzhou City attracted the eyes of the entire MO world. Bean Sprout felt as though his breathing was slightly difficult. These lights were so close to him it was like a dream. The vibrations that these materials released came in waves. He felt as though he was the little boat in the middle of a storm and would be upturned at any time. All of the top materials were worldly treasures. They usually were formed naturally over eras, and contained great power. The power that dissipated out was still too strong for Bean Sprout. Suddenly, a red figure appeared in front of him. The astounding vibrations immediately disappeared. Bean Sprout knew the other had blocked the vibrations for him. He said gratefully, "Thanks." Tsing Lianer did not seem to hear it. Her eyes were looking in the distance. A hint of worry flashed through her eyes. In her eyes, the dark gold boxes covered in light was a pile of trouble. And big trouble. Rare Artifacts Hall's attitude was clear. Tsing Lianer was perceptive and she immediately realized that something had happened outside. Otherwise, Rare Artifacts Hall's attitude would not be so strong. It really was great trouble. Mo didn't know what was happening outside at all. He didn't have any knowledge of the MO Weapon Master Association. Regardless of whether he knew the person or not, he had refused to see any of them in this recent while. He didn't care who had been stopped by. The new Heaven Tier MO weapon pool was good, but it demanded more of the user. Even Mo had to focus all his attention to reach a satisfactory level. In order to stop others from disturbing him, Mo set up Jinji around the MO weapon pool. The present Heaven Tier MO weapon pool was completely cut off from the outside. Mo released a breath. 10 MO weapon rudiments of different colors were floating in the clear blue pond. The cold energy of the pool had lessened greatly. The 60 general level MO weapons had formed 10 MO weapon rudiments. 2 mistakes had occurred in the process, and these were the only 2 mistakes that Mo had committed. Working at full concentration easily tired people out. Even Mo could not avoid having made mistakes with 2 of them. Mo was still satisfied with this result. He sat in lotus position and quickly entered meditation. He was really too tired, and he quickly entered a meditation state. 10 balls of different colored lights suddenly appeared in the MO weapon pool. Each light shrouded 1 MO weapon rudiment. The 10 lights flashed as though they were breathing. In the depths of the underground nether river, countless minuscule cold currents were like sharks that smelt blood and flooded towards the Heaven Tier MO weapon pool. The same situation was also occurring in the depths of the underground nether river hundreds of li away from the Heaven Tier MO weapon pool. No one would think that an astounding change was occurring in the underground nether river that was so calm on the surface. The MO weapon pool water in front of Mo started to rise. Deep in his meditative state, Mo did not know. A short while later, the height of the water in the pool was the same as the ground in the surroundings, yet the currents that flowed in showed no signs of stopping. They continued to come in. The water continued to rise, but they did not spread into the surroundings. There seemed to be an invisible hand that was pulling water up like a pillar of water. The light of the 10 MO weapon rudiments grew even brighter. They slowly spun in the water. The water was pulled along and the pillar of water continued to spin. The small currents deep in the underground nether river moved even more quickly. They were like a school of fish that dove to the bottom of the river as they swam towards the Heaven Tier MO weapon pool. The currents contained power, and when tens of thousands of them gathered together, even the steely bed of the river started to tremble. Boom, boom, boom. The ground around the underground nether river started to tremble as though tens of thousands of horse were galloping underground. The people in the surroundings had terrified expressions. What was happening? An earthquake? The underground Nether River was located dozens of miles underground. As the riverbed started to shake, it caused a string of effects. The rock above people's heads started to fall. Everyone started to panic. Screams filled the air as people sprinted furiously towards the entrance. This was deep down in the ground. If they were buried alive, even the most powerful MO skill couldn't save them. At this time, they didn't care about any worldly treasures. Everyone only had one thought in their mind: get out as fast as possible. Yet the passage was not wide to begin with, and there were too many people gathered here. People fought to get ahead and the scene was chaotic. The falling of rocks caused the scene to become even worse. Outside the MO weapon pool, Bean Sprout had a panicked expression. This place is about to collapse, Tseng Lianer cultivated Shen power and she had a feeling that the present situation was related to the MO weapon pool. When she thought of the worldly apparition when the little MO treasure cut had been forged, she didn't feel any urgency. It's fine. Bean Sprout was extremely panicked but Tseng Lianer did not care. Ague was completely unresponsive. The only one that seemed slightly normal was Qinghua Shui. However, Qinghua Shui's expression only changed slightly at the start before she quickly recovered. Tseng Lianer glanced at Qinghua Shui and felt slightly surprised by her calmness. While she was weak, her mental fortitude was pretty good. At this time, inside the Heaven Tier MO weapon pool, it was a completely different scene. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.